So I love Gravity Falls, and I've always wondered how a reboot would even work. When Alex Hirsch created the series, he was dead set on it taking place over 2 seasons and showcasing the events of one summer. And he did just that. While he kept the mysteries and lore of Gravity Falls alive through various projects, the story of Dipper and Mabel ended in 2016. He stated multiple times in different interviews that he doesn't want to continue their story because it could ruin the integrity of the original show. From an artistic perspective, I respect the hell out of that decision, but as a fan, I want more.
And I know I shouldn't.
I think any fan of Gravity Falls can admit there's always been a small part of them that wants to see this story continued in some way. But how could you possibly make a story that would keep the mystery and lore alive of Gravity Falls while at the same time respect and maintain the character arcs and journeys of the previous show? I think I have an idea, but first, I'm going to set some ground rules. 1, I'm going to be splitting this video up into sections so you can basically get an idea of what I would want out of the show. For the people who love the mystery and like little details of conspiracies, I have some of it, but I have to do some build up to get there, so just stick with me. 2, I have not read or deep dived into Gravity Falls fanfiction. The only thing I've read or am currently keeping up with is Jake Potato's series on Instagram called Come Back Home. All the ideas I'll present will either be my own or what Alex Hirsch has already described as canon or potential future stories. If I give an idea that's been written before, just know I'm not trying to steal. It's just I might be a basic who's not that original. And 3, this is not going to be an episode by episode pitch, because that video would just take so long to do. Instead, I'm going to be setting up the pilot, important episodes and character moments throughout the season, and then conclude with the finale. With all that being said, here's my pitch for a Gravity Falls reboot. At its center, this story is about the relationship between twin siblings Dipper and Mabel Pines, and like the first series, I want this reboot to continue their journey. Their arcs in the original are about them transitioning from childhood into their teenage years. Both of them struggle with the concept of growing up, they just do it differently. I've discussed this concept ad nauseum on my channel before, so for viewers who have seen those videos, I'm sorry, I gotta do it again for the sake of this video. Dipper's main problem is that he wants to be an adult, and Mabel's main problem is that she doesn't want to grow up. By the end of the show, they both learn to embrace their childhood while they still have it and decide to face the future together. It's a big transitional moment in anyone's life, but I think the next big phase of adolescence is leaving your teenage years and going into your college years. When you're there, almost every decision you make is on you, and it's a time where the safety nets and people you once held close start to drift away. So for characters that ended the show with the promise to stick together through their adolescence, what would that look like when they reach the end of it? At the start of the series, I would have it take place 1 week after the twins' high school graduation. This time, instead of Dipper, Mabel narrates a montage of their time there, the ups and downs, and like they promised, they were always there for each other no matter what. Then came time for college applications. The twins planned for their city's community college, and for as long as Dipper can remember, he has wanted to learn film and become a TV host as a paranormal investigator. Mabel, on the other hand, is still a little unsure as to what she wants out of life. Maybe a career in fashion design or teaching? Who knows? For now, they can at least be okay knowing they're in this together. Things change though when Dipper gets an offer from the best film school in the country. He could get a head start on his dream of getting his TV show made. When Mabel finds out, she's super excited for him and says she wants him to go. But Dipper puts his foot down. He'll go to the community college with her for the first couple of years. After all, they're in this together. They both want this, right? Now, I understand this might sound like a repeat of what Stan and Ford's relationship is, but I'm kind of doing it purposefully. At the end of the show, the twins decide not to repeat the mistakes of their great uncles. But what if by sticking together no matter what, they destine themselves into an opposite yet equal fate? In these arcs I'm introducing, I'm also wanting to showcase a critique that I've seen a lot in the Gravity Falls community. That being Dipper constantly denying what he wants for the sake of Mabel. While in the original series we're shown how Dipper is usually the one learning from his selfish desires, There are several instances where Mabel acts the same way but isn't held to the same standard. The show sometimes came across as Dipper's always in the wrong, and if Mabel ever is, it's either laughed off, or she doesn't suffer the same amount of consequences as he does. Quick side note, I'm not a Mabel hater. I think the hate for her is way overblown. I understand where the critique comes from. With Dipper learning this lesson time and time again, what if he's now in a place where he's negating what he truly wants out of a deep-seated fear? On the other side of that coin, even if Mabel is trying to encourage Dipper to go after what he wants, what if she's unaware it was her selfishness in the past that created this dynamic? After they apply for their hometown's community college and get accepted, they go spend summer at Gravity Falls, Oregon. The twins have made it a tradition to visit Gravity Falls every summer, and this one's no different. As they ride the bus to the Mystery Shack, they can feel the excitement in the air. Same place, new adventures, and old friends. Every year they stay at the Mystery Shack, still under the management of Seuss and his now wife Melody. When the twins walk in the doors, the place is dark and silent. They turn on the light and surprise! Everyone is there to welcome them back to the town. We get to see some familiar faces like Old Man McGucket, Candy, Brenda, maybe some random townsfolk here and there, and to our surprise, Pacifica Northwest. She still has a bit of a mean girl vibe because, you know, Pacifica. But her walls come down as soon as Mabel runs up to her with a hug. The twins and her have stayed in touch and have become close through the years, though during their times in past summers, Mabel would be the social glue keeping the trio together. We can see that Pacifica wants to talk with Mabel about something going on in her personal life, but Mabel, being the social butterfly that she is, gets caught up in the party, leaving Dipper alone with her. So how's it going? Fine. How have you been? Good. It was a long ride, but I'm happy to be back. Oh yeah, I'm coming out the gate swinging with this one. I want there to be some kind of will they won't they relationship in the show, and who better to utilize than Dipcifica? I made a whole video on my channel about why they're perfect together. You should go check that out after this video. But if you want the Spark Notes version, the reason they work so well together is that they complete each other. Both Dipper and Pacifica have the same flaw of being insecure about who they truly are. In the original series, Dipper hates who he is because of his age, while Pacifica wants to be herself, but is restricted due to her parents and social status. It's through their connection they're able to be comfortable in their own skin and aren't afraid to be honest with each other. In this reboot, we could establish how there was always some kind of unspoken attraction they've had for each other, but have tried to deny. Look, I know this is probably the most fanfiction-y thing I could want, but I was denied Zatara, and I will have Dipcifica if it's the last thing I do. Back at the party, they begin to talk and their initial awkwardness begins to disappear. They have playful banter until Pacifica is about to bring up something going on in her life that she wants to talk about. When Dipper asks what's wrong, we see a certain red-haired family enter the shack. Manly Dan, his 3 sons, and Wendy. Dipper is ecstatic to see her again. He turns to Pacifica and asks if they can catch up in a second. Pacifica says it's fine, but as he leaves, we can see she's upset. As Wendy stands there, Dipper sneaks from behind, about to scare her until she notices. She grabs him by the arm and pins him to the ground. "Do you yield, Pines?" "I yield! I yield!" She laughs as she helps him up and goes for a fist pump. "Good to see you, man." "Yeah, good to see you too." Wendy and Dipper's relationship is one of my favorite parts of the original show. While a lot of it can be super painful to sit through, the plotline of your first crush and unrequited love is a struggle anyone can relate to, and the first 2 seasons handled the emotions that go with it beautifully. As far as where the two are now, Dipper no longer has a crush, and they share a deep bond akin to an older sister, younger brother dynamic. No, there will not be some kind of love triangle bullshit. Sorry, not sorry, Windip fans. Mabel and Dipper take a moment to look around at everyone they love in one room together. Wait a second. Where's Great Uncle Ford? And Grunkle Stan? Look dudes, I hate to say it, but I got a call from them like 3 days ago. They're still out in the Atlantic hunting down some treasure thing. They're not gonna be here for about a month. A month? That's a third of the summer. While the twins are clearly distressed about the situation, Grinda throws on a record to lighten the mood. Everyone starts celebrating again, but Dipper notices Mabel go to the corner of the room by herself. "Are you okay?" "I'm just not in the party mood right now." Dipper's about to leave, but he stops himself. Mabel needs him. He knows it. He goes back and reminisces about the shack, talking about summers past with all the things they did, and she eventually comes to the realization that they can still have a good time without Grunkle Stan and Ford. "I'll miss them too, but it's only a month, and right now we have an entire town here wanting to spend time with us. What do you say?" "Yeah, let's go." Thanks, Dipper.
Awkward sibling hug?
Awkward sibling hug. Pat, pat.
They head back and socialize with everyone. As the party dies down, it's just the main group. They all laugh and enjoy each other's company. Mabel looks around at this amazing second family she has. This summer is going to be perfect. As everyone goes to sleep, we see Seuss go into his office. He turns on the computer and a text screen comes up. Twins have arrived. Upset at first. Okay now.
Seuss, you can speak normally. Though our translated text sounds like a robot's voice, we don't have to speak like one.
Affirmative.
Sigh.
How much longer will this take? I don't know how much longer I can keep this up.
You have to, Seuss. No one can know. Especially them. Just keep us updated on what's going on.
Okay.
I trust you. Good night.
Seuss shuts the computer off, walks out of the office, and locks the door. So going forward, there are some things that will be left to y'all's imagination, because as I stated in the beginning, there's only so much I can convey in a pitch like this. The original show had a lot of writers and collaborators working on bringing Alex's vision to life. If he did everything on his own, the show would still probably be in development 10 years later. Same goes for my situation. There's only so much I can do before I would just die of creative exhaustion. I have some episodes that I'll pitch in a minute, but for now, here's my rundown for the overarching plot this season. Ever since Weirdmageddon, the town has embraced the supernatural creatures. They're still kept secret to outsiders, but the town isn't put off by its inherent weirdness anymore. However, as of last year, there have been scarier things lurking seemingly out of nowhere. There have been dangerous stuff in the past, but these are particularly haunting. In response, a small government task force has been sent out to take care of such supernatural occurrences. They were originally called out to deal with abnormal occurrences happening in Oregon state parks, but they soon found out all of this weirdness is coming from Gravity Falls. Since their arrival, they've been kind of a nuisance to the residents and of course, our main group of heroes. The head agent, who I'll call Agent Smith because I'm lazy, orders in secret to keep an eye on them, in particular the Pines twins. His number one goal is to stop this weirdness from taking over, and it seems as if Dipper and his friends are always around when weird stuff happens. The agents in the gang have a bit of a rivalry going on. Kind of like in the movie Twisters, how you have a ragtag group of heroes chasing down storms, but they periodically have to go up against a bunch of jerks who don't care about others and are better equipped for the job. But instead of chasing storms, you're chasing cryptids and your basic Gravity Falls shenanigans. In their encounters, Agent Smith tends to have it out for Dipper in particular. Even though it seems like Smith has everything Dipper wants in terms of resources and a career, the reason they fight is because of their opposing philosophies. Dipper wants to be a researcher while at the same time protect the people of Gravity Falls from potential dangers by any means, while Smith strictly adheres to governmental protocols and isn't as concerned with research as he is eliminating all abnormalities. Their feud is in the smaller moments of episodes, so you can fill in the blanks for now. Just know that Smith is a massive jerk, and anytime he gets the better of Dipper, he always makes sure to rub it in his face. Besides that, another goal I have for this series is to give a spotlight on characters who didn't see their full potential realized in the original show, starting out with arguably the most underutilized character, that being Wendy. Alex has said before on a commentary track that they wanted to have a Wendy-centered episode, but they could just never come up with an idea without it sacrificing the coolness of her character.
To know her. But I will say that we always wanted to do a full Wendy episode, and we never cracked one because I feel like part of it was this character that we've created here is so chill and likable that when you put her in a situation where you have to make her commit the sin where she has to learn 21 minutes of story, it was like, oh, it doesn't feel like that awesome Wendy we know.
So in my reboot, I would establish Wendy as already having graduated high school and now works with her family as a lumberjack. Her friend group has moved away, or in the case of Robbie and Tamri, are now traveling underground musicians. I felt like that would be fitting. As far as the present moment, Wendy still keeps up that cool persona, but that's the part that I want to explore. Why does Wendy have this front? In the episode Society of the Blind die before the gang is about to get their memories wiped. Wendy says this line.
Okay, I'm not actually laid back. I'm stressed like 24/7. Have you met my family?
While this could be seen as a throwaway gag, it gives us a far more interesting look into her character's psychology. Her father and 3 brothers clearly lost the plot years ago, and Wendy seems to be the only calm presence around. But if you look at her family, what's the one thing missing? That's right, her mom. Where is Wendy's mom? I did a little research as to what the official canon is, and there is nothing super concrete to go off of other than she died when Wendy was around 5 years old. I thought it just ended there, but then I dug a little deeper. In the Lost Legends book, you can see a brief shot from a member of the Society of the Blind Eye. In one of the tubes that have people's memories, we see one of them labeled Mrs. Corduroy's Memories. At first I was like, okay, that's weird, but the society has been erasing memories for years now. It's just probably the case that they erased her memory at some point. But on a Reddit thread, Bill Cipher, Alex Hirsch, posted an Ask Me Anything. In there, it was uncovered through decoding and decrypting that there are several messages about the fate of Wendy's mom. Even a confession from Schmebulock saying she's trapped in another dimension. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. Okay, that's enough of that. I'm not Matt Pat. As cool as this is, here's the thing. In my opinion, I think a lot of this is just Alex messing with the fans because let's face it, as Gravity Falls fans, we have to have an answer for everything. So I really don't think we can confirm much on that front. What I think is important is that with this loss at such a young age, Wendy had to grow up very quickly. With the responsibility of being the only maternal presence in the household, but having little to no reference of what that even entails, I feel like there's so many ways to dissect this side of the character. Is this the reason for her laid-back attitude? What could she be neglecting within herself for the sake of those around her? And to think all of this could have been solved in just like one episode in the original. Luckily, that's what I did here. One day, the twins, Grinda and Candy, are going to pick up Wendy to explore a place she's been wanting to see. Mabel admits to Dipper she wants to do something more relaxing instead of exploring some spooky place. She wants to connect with Wendy more, but they just don't have that much in common. Dipper says he wouldn't mind that either, but Wendy loves exploring abandoned places, and this is what she wanted to do. This time, they're going to an old abandoned amusement park to look at giant mascots left behind. And yes, I want this to be like Poppy Playtime. It'd be similar to how in the episode with Giffany it turned into a Five Nights at Freddy's homage. I feel like we could do the same here for a new modern game with the same kind of influence. Plus, how did we not get an episode in the original with like a creepy amusement park? That's like right up the show's alley. They get to her house and she's nowhere around. Mainly Dan, in his aggressive tone, says she's out in the woods and they're welcome to go find her. When they go searching, they end up finding her on the hillside doing something they never imagined. She's painting the surrounding woods and horizon perfectly. Whoa, I never knew you painted. Oh, hey guys, yeah, this is nothing. She takes the canvas and throws it away. Who's ready for the old abandoned amusement park? Amusement park, amusement park. She quickly walks up the hill chanting those words, but the group can sense something's off. Why did she just ruin her painting? Does she want to keep this secret? On the way there, Mabel's constantly asking her questions, but with each one, Wendy is trying to dodge it by turning on the radio or changing the subject. Once she realizes Mabel's persistence, she gives in. Look, it's just something I like to do by myself. There's nothing to it. I don't even like it that much. No, that can't be true, especially with how good you are. We could be the Painting Pal Squad. The PPS! Hee Pee-pee. Dipper and Wendy see that Pee-pee got them to focus on something else. Don't worry, that joke should keep them busy for a while. He glances over to Wendy, who's looking out the window with a melancholic expression. I thought your painting was really good. Thanks, man. They get to the amusement park and it's spooky as Wendy launches into a legend surrounding this place. Several years ago, it opened up and was a massive success, but the only problem is they had to keep hiring a new security team for when the park was closed because they were mysteriously disappearing every night. Word got out and the owners were forced to shut it down. Now they only have tonight to explore it before the demolition team comes in. As they walk through, Dipper pulls Mabel aside. He tells her that she needs to drop the comments about Wendy's painting because it might be a sensitive subject for her. Mabel agrees, but in typical Mabel fashion, she tries to find a way to bring it out of her anyway. They go to a section of the park called Imagination Land. Please don't confuse it with this. This section has all the uncanny mascots Wendy was wanting to see. They end up running amok in the park, and while not straight up destroying things, are reckless in their endeavors. One of the mascot statues named, I don't know man, since this is just a theoretical pitch, Huggy Wuggy, is staring at everything they do. In one of the buildings, Mabel sees something and tells the gang to close their eyes for a surprise. Once they're in, we see that it's a painting studio. It's like the ones at festivals where artists will paint ugly versions of people. It's kind of one of those places. Mabel is excited, but when she sees Wendy's face, she's clearly uncomfortable. Mabel, what are you doing? I thought she would like it. It's all spooky like she likes, but there's painting and stuff too. Look, I already told you I don't like painting that much. But you're so talented. Why don't you want to share that gift with the world? Because I can't, okay? Suddenly, they hear a loud crash outside. They run out, and the statue of Huggy is gone. They look around nervously, unaware he's right above them. And what's worse, all the other mascots come from around corners, surrounding them. Huggy speaks, saying how he and the other mascots are going to eat them. When Wendy asks why, the explanation Huggy gives is that they were designed to be a friendly presence, but all the kids and parents were put off by their appearance. If all they were going to be seen as is a bunch of scary creatures, then so be it. A whole chase scene happens where Dipper and the girls split up from Wendy and Mabel. They end up trapped in a nearby building and helplessly watch as the mascots take Dipper and the girls away. As they're stuck, they both start pounding at the door trying to get out until they realize it's no use. They're stuck. They both sit against the wall as Mabel begins apologizing, saying this was her fault. If she didn't lead them into the building, they could have seen Huggy come alive and escaped in time. Wendy stops her. No, this one's on me, Mabel. If we just chilled at the shack, we wouldn't be in this mess. Mabel then asks her why they didn't. Wendy explains how she and her mom used to paint together when she was young. After she passed away, Manly Dan would get super emotional anytime he saw a painting, even in museums because it reminded him of her. Funny bit here of Manly Dan punching a high-dollar painting in a museum. It was a passion Wendy had, but her dad and brothers needed her, so she put it away. Not only would the lumber business fall apart without me, but my family would too. I don't have time for it. Then why were you painting today? Well, I don't know. As Wendy gazes at the ceiling, Mabel tries to find the right words. You're a great person, Wendy, and I know your dad can be a lot, but he loves you, and I think he would love to see your work. I don't know about that. I know he would! But if you don't want to, you don't have to yet. That's cool too. I just want one of my best friends to be happy. I know you do. Thanks, Mabel. They suddenly hear the screams of their friends. They peek through the debris to see how the mascots have tied them over a pot of boiling queso. Because, I don't know. It just felt random and weird enough to be in a Gravity Falls episode. The two girls end up saving them and destroying the mascots through lumberjack ingenuity, or as I like to call it, corduroy badassery. As they make their way out of the park, Mabel goes to Wendy. I'm sorry again for pushing you back there. It's okay. It kind of felt good to talk about those things. Plus, I must admit, even though it can get old, the lumberjack and apocalypse training come in handy every now and again. The group goes back to drop her off at the house, but Manly Dan sits there waiting. Uh-oh. He's probably wondering where I've been all night. I can deal with this. I'll see you guys later. As they back out, Mabel sees Manly Dan pull out the painting Wendy made in the woods. As she looks closer, she sees them having a discussion, but it's from the car, so she can't make anything out. Wendy is uncomfortable seeing how he has the painting, but Dan quickly has tears in his eyes as he smiles. He says something to Wendy. Whatever it was, it causes her to run up to him as they embrace in a hug. And that's my idea for a Wendy-centered episode. Obviously, there's a lot of details that I overlooked. I didn't even have a B story or like that much comedy in it, but I feel like this idea not only showcases Wendy's home life, but also gives us an explanation as to why she's always so stressed out. For the rest of the series, I would want her character to grow and realize she can get more out of life. She doesn't have to put up a front all the time. She can want more than just to be a lumberjack. She can be vulnerable with those closest to her. Next up on characters that deserve more exploration is Pacifica. Now, deciding what to do with her, it's not like with Wendy, where all you really needed was an episode to flesh them out more, cause let's face it, the original series did a lot of the heavy lifting. But with Pacifica, and considering how much she's going to be interacting with the twins, and specifically Dipper, her arc and growth are kind of in the smaller moments of episodes. As we know, the Northwest had to sell their home to pay off their debts after Weirdmageddon. While they still have more money than the average person, it puts a huge strain on not only their lifestyle, but their family. In the beginning, I said how Pacifica was wanting to tell the twins something, and we eventually find out that her parents have gotten a divorce. I think the subject of divorce and how that's affected Pacifica could be really interesting for her character going forward. Not only in the ways she's grown to be resentful of her parents, but also how this relates to the twins' current state at home. In the Book of Bill, it was revealed that Dipper had as a recurring nightmare about a fight his parents had before they sent him and his sister to Gravity Falls, with the implications being they were going through a potential divorce. Now, considering that it's Bill telling us this information, it's kind of hard to trust, but I like the idea of Dipper being able to connect with Pacifica over such an issue. Maybe in that episode where she finally tells them what's going on at home, it could be the first genuine heart-to-heart Dipper has with Pacifica instead of playful banter. They're able to listen and connect over the struggles of a dysfunctional home life. Oh yeah, good old-fashioned trauma bonding, baby. As far as what she's doing now, Alex said he liked the idea of Pacifica working at Greasy's diner, and I think that is a perfect direction to take her character. I think it's a great way for her to not only understand the notion of hard work, but to also understand this is how most people live. As she looks back at her life, the way she and her family treated people less fortunate, she has a great sense of shame. Not only for herself, but the people she associated with. In the original show, her parents are, well, her parents, she's kind of stuck with them. But from what we could see, most of her friends were probably there out of fear or wanting something in return. Now that she's lost her status, how would everyone respond? How would her former friends now treat her? What if as a kid she was the bully, but once she entered her teen years, she became the bullied? Throughout this theoretical show, she goes on adventures with the twins on a regular basis. But we can see, as well as the side characters, her and Dipper clearly have a thing going on. All things come to a head in an episode I like to call Dipcifica fans, this is for you. The twins, like they always have, get ready for this year's summer ween, only to find out the town canceled it. What? Why would they do that? Well, after the events of Never Mind All That and the trauma of the residents deepened, we decided to replace that holiday with one that's full of joy and wonder. What better way to celebrate such an occasion than with Christmas in summer, or as we now are calling it, Chris Summer. That's a terrible name. Yeah, we're still working on it. Looking back on the show, I realized they never had a Christmas-related episode, so I thought, hey, might as well put it here. Basically, they've replaced Summerween and do Christmas-related festivities. This year, in the town square, they're hosting a Christmas dance and cookout for the community. Who is there, you might ask? The Northwest. Since they've lost their reputation with Gravity Falls, Preston has tried everything to get back the influence he once had, even catering to the so-called peasants of the town. Mabel's excited by the change, but Dipper isn't. Well, this stinks. It wouldn't be so bad if you asked you-know-who to the dance. Who? Oh, come on. We all know you like Pacifica. What? We've seen the way you talk to each other. I bet she would love to go with you if you just asked. But he's too chicken. Guys, this is Pacifica we're talking about. She's just a friend. I could ask her easily. Dipper heads towards the door. Better yet, I'll go to her house and ask her, straight to her face. Hey, can we talk for a second? I hate you, now please help me. Pacifica comes in and somehow Dipper musters the courage and actually asks her. It turns out she was going to ask him to the dance as well. It's a cute moment that we in the audience and the side characters have been waiting to see this whole season. Once she leaves, the gang is over the moon for him. They get to the party and the entire downtown is decorated in Christmas aesthetics. When Dipper and Pacifica head to the dance floor, however, she notices something in the corner of her eye, her old friend group, led by Tiffany. They make some snide remarks towards her and Dipper, but Pacifica's just as snide back. They head away from them and Dipper asks if she's okay. Of course I am. I don't need them. Okay, cool. That's why I want to destroy them, and you're going to help me. Awesome. Wait, what? My dad's made a competition for whatever couple dances the best gets a prize. He wants to give it to someone in the town, but you and I are gonna get it. That way we ruin his party and we stick it to those jerks over there. Pacifica, I don't know. Come on, Dipper. They're the world's worst chain, remember? Okay, I guess. Great. She drags him out there, and they do the most complex dances all through the night. Dipper has no clue what he's doing, but Pacifica was trained how to dance because she was rich once. And as we all know, rich people know how to dance. She orders him to follow her lead, and to everyone's surprise, they're really good. Meanwhile, Seuss has been acting strange, like his stomach is hurting. Melody, Wendy, and Mabel ask what's going on, and he says it might be food poisoning. He runs to the bathroom where he begins to panic. Something isn't right. He coughs up a mysterious black gunk until he suddenly starts to projectile vomit like a fire hose. All this black gunk begins to merge together, slowly, into a creature. He runs out of the bathroom and gets to the group, still in shock. I can't believe it. He's back. Sweetie, what's wrong? Who are you talking about? Look. Trick or treat, old friend. Back at the dance, Dipper and Pacifica are like Dua Lipa and dancing the night away. Dipper's letting himself go and is having a fun time. So is Pacifica. For a moment, she's actually enjoying this moment with him. They go for a break, and while he's away getting drinks, Tiffany goes to Pacifica and says she's actually good out there. She then invites Pacifica to a party at her parents' house afterwards. What do you say, Northwest? You win? Gladly. Pacifica runs to Dipper and tells him how they were invited to Tiffany's party. But to her surprise, Dipper seems mad. Why do you even want to go there? Don't you hate them? Of course I do. That's why we can sabotage it in some way. Quick, what are some ideas? You know, for someone who claims to hate them, it seems like you really want their attention. Like, all the time. They get into an argument and Dipper realizes that Pacifica is still so spiteful. She may not be in the world's worst chain, but she's spending all of her time trying to get back at them rather than be happy for what she has now. Pacifica tries to strike back, but honestly doesn't know what to say. Suddenly, the gang runs up to Dipper and tells him the situation, but it's too late. Screams are heard throughout the party as the Summerween trickster is consuming everything in its path. Dipper asks how he came back and Seuss has no idea, but in the commotion, Wendy gets consumed by the trickster. The task force comes in and tries to battle with him before he makes his way into the sewer. Agent Smith calls the mission off. Are you crazy? It got Wendy! We have to do something! It's too dangerous. You want to kill yourself? Be my guest, kid. The group goes to the sewer grate until Dipper is stopped by Pacifica. Are you crazy? That thing could kill you. I fought it before and I'll fight it again. But she's important to me, Pacifica. She's my friend. You don't turn your back on people who care for you. The group heads down into the sewer, leaving Pacifica alone. The gang makes its way into a creepy area in the sewer where the trickster waits for them. It reveals that a part of him existed within Seuss after he ate him. He never came out because he respected him for admiring his candy, but since the town decided to get rid of Summerween, he took it as an insult, and their punishment is destruction. They try to eat him like before, but he's solid candy. Their teeth would break off. Hijinks ensue, and once the gang is cornered, that's when a giant wave of boiling water comes and sweeps him away, melting his hard exterior and giving Wendy the chance to escape. She wakes up in a daze, but is okay. They look to where the water came from to see none other than Pacifica smiling nervously. I just turned this wheel. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but I guess it worked. The group shouts her name in admiration as they all run up and embrace her. You saved us. Of course, you don't turn your back on the people who care for you. Once they head back up to the destroyed Christmas party, the group leaves Dipper alone with Pacifica. I'm sorry for ruining your night, Dipper. I wanted to get back at them for tormenting me so badly I ended up hurting you in the process. You didn't ruin the night. We got to dance, and you killed a monster. That's gonna be most of our dates in the future, so get used to it. Dates in the future? Well, yeah, you owe me. Are you trying to get me to ask you out, Dipper Pines? Yes. Yes, I am. Okay then, how about tomorrow at 6, after I get off work? Done. Suddenly, a Christmas tree collapses beside them. A branch over their heads has a mistletoe. I guess, come here. Later that night, as Dipper and Mabel go to bed, Melody is there, waiting for them in the room with Wendy. Guys, what's wrong? Wendy goes on to explain how, when she was inside the trickster, she somehow was hallucinating images. Since he was inside Seuss for so long, she could see parts of Seuss's life. He hasn't been telling the truth. In one of the images, she saw Stanley fighting Stanford, and another shot of Stanford talking to Seuss, saying, "Trust no one." All I know is two things. Stanley and Stanford aren't safe, and they're here in Gravity Falls. Woo! Dipcifica is now a thing, but now it's time for seriousness. And what better way to show the seriousness of a situation than with a... That same night, Melody takes Wendy home. Dipper tells her if she remembers anything else, call them. As she sleeps, images rush through her head until she wakes up. Seuss's computer. Dipper comes up with a plan to sneak into Seuss's office, and it's foolproof. They get ready to go in until they realize Melody is upset. This whole time, Seuss has been lying to her. This isn't the man she fell in love with. Mabel goes to her and says she went through the same thing with Grunkle Stan, but it turns out he was just trying to save his brother from another dimension. Seuss may have kept a secret, but they don't know everything yet. Maybe it was for her protection. That idea comforts her. For the moment. I haven't really talked much about Seuss and Melody, but if I had to have some kind of story with them throughout this series, it would be the struggles of newlyweds. With Seuss trying to hide this secret, Melody has started to feel very distant from him, which at times has caused a strain in their relationship. She can learn to trust Seuss again, and Seuss can realize the importance of honesty. Melody and Wendy distract Seuss while the twins make their way into his office. Dipper gets on his computer and finds the entire chat log with an anonymous stranger. He's able to do some hacking thing that I'm not sure about the logistics of, where he finds a set of coordinates where the messages are coming from. The twins get a GPS and say they're going to head out as Melody and Wendy leave Seuss alone. He notices how they're acting strange and through a series of events finds out his computer has been tampered with. Seuss then starts to follow them. In the sky, we see a drone filming everything. We cut to the POV of the task force watching everything on a screen. Follow them. The group follows the coordinates and it leads them straight to McGucket Labs, aka the Old Northwest Mansion. Why would the coordinates take them here? They go up to knock and ask McGucket if they can come in before Dipper stops them. If McGucket is in on whatever's happening to the Grunkles, this place could be covered in booby traps. They need someone who knows this place better than they do. Pacifica. She comes up there and she brings them in through a secret tunnel where they enter the main hall. Then, out of nowhere, Seuss bursts through the main door. "What did you guys do to my computer?" Since they're now cornered, Dipper confronts him. "Seuss, stop! We know what you've done. We know the truth. We know that you know where Grunkle Stan and Ford are." "Hold on! That's a lot of knowing to comprehend, and you didn't answer my question." Suddenly, metal grates cover the exits as an alarm system goes off. The floor drops beneath them and they tumble their way into a small room that not even Pacifica recognizes. McGucket must have made this for security reasons. A robot head with a monitor then comes up asking for identification. Dipper says his name and the machine scans him and everyone in the room.
"You are known associates of Fiddleford McGucket. I am his security droid responsible for all who enter. Even though you are known by the professor, you do not have proper clearance. Do you want to play a series of games for clearance?"
It's a weird request, but the group agrees to it. We then have an episode that's basically death-defying puzzles, kind of like Saw or that movie Escape Room, just with way less gore. They pass all the games until they reach the final one.
"Let's play a version of Truth or Dare where no one can choose to dare."
What? Why? This seems oddly specific.
"People most commonly choose a dare out of fear of revealing their hidden truths. I can read your vitals so I'll know if you're lying or not. Now choose a partner."
They team up. Seuss and Melody, Pacifica and Wendy, Dipper and Mabel.
Each of you has to ask the other a question. If you succeed in telling the truth, you will survive. Any failure will result in destruction.
Each group plays truth or dare, but Dipper tells them a loophole of asking each other simple questions like, is it true you had cereal for breakfast? However, the computer recognizes the simplicity of the questions, and once we reach Dipper and Mabel, it forces them to ask difficult questions. The robot then sets a timer for 10 seconds. They become overwhelmed before they look at each other for support. Using their sibling energy, they know they got this. Mabel, is it true you want me to go to college with you? Easy, yes, I do.
That was a lie.
What? Before Dipper can even respond, the walls start closing in. So on this next part, I'm not sure how they'll get out, but basically they destroy the computer and they're able to go through a door before the room crushes in on itself. As they regroup, Mabel looks to Dipper. I don't know what happened. It must have been broken. It doesn't matter right now. We need to find Stan and Ford. They walk down a dark hallway until they find a room with a portal, very similar to the one that was once underneath the mystery shack. The coordinates in here, so that must mean they're in there. The group walks up together through the portal. On the other side, they see that this place, whatever it is dark, spooky, and alien in nature. They explore the building and Mabel walks up to the door with a window. Inside, she sees Stanley on an operating table as weird creatures hover over him. Guys, Grunkle Stan is here! They run over and are shocked by the scene. What are they doing to him? I don't know, but we're going to stop. Kids? The group looks back to see Ford and McGucket staring at them. Great Uncle Ford? What's he doing in there? Kids, I promise. I will explain everything, but right now, we have to run. What do you mean we have to run? Ford starts running around collecting supplies they need. You've been followed. Agents will be here soon and they pose a threat to everything I'm trying to do. Well, what are you doing to Stanley? What the heck is this place? And why didn't you reach out to us all this summer? Ford stops and lets out a sigh. Kids, you don't know the... Suddenly, an alarm buzzer goes off as the doors to the room Stanley was in begin to open. Ford runs past everyone with McGucket to the table where Stanley lies. Stanley! Stanley, can you hear me? Stanford? Of course I can! You're like 2 inches from my hearing aids! Stanford hugs him until he turns his attention to the creatures. Did you extract it? It's all here. We see a container of a glowing yellow substance. Every last trace is gone. Good, because we're on a rush schedule. Can I trust you to dispose of it? Of course, with his luck. Stanley looks around the room. He notices the kids. Wait, kids? You're here? Stanley almost sheds a tear seeing them, but then quickly is overtaken by anger. What are they doing here, Stanford? They broke in. We didn't invite them, I swear. Look, I know emotions are high for everyone, but like I said, we need to go before the agents are in the mansion. We see a monitor with federal agents storming the halls of the Northwest Mansion, and since the group destroyed the computer, they can easily make their way into the portal room and find them. Wait, why can't we just talk with them? Let's get out of here and say it was a misunderstanding. We've been dealing with them all summer. They're jerks, but we can talk things out. No, we can't trust them. Ford walks over to a locker and opens the door to reveal various armors and weaponry. Gear up, kids. We have to make a break for it. Once the gang gets geared up, they run outside the portal before Ford and McGucket say one last goodbye to the creatures on the other side and destroy the portal. So from here, I'm not sure how things would play out, but here's a couple ideas. Since they got technology from Ford and McGucket's lab, it would be cool if we got to see some gadgets or tools they've created be put to use by the group. I'm thinking something crazy like Rick's gadgets from Rick and Morty, except, you know, these don't violently murder people. We could also have some gags in there of agents trying to catch the group through the halls of the mansion, paying homage to Scooby-Doo and Hanna-Barbera, which is kind of an influence for this season. They finally make it to the secret tunnel underneath the mansion, but Agent Smith calls out for the others. They're entering a tunnel in the floor. After them. Everyone is inside, and the last one is McGucket until he realizes there's no lock on the door. He looks one last time at the group, saying to go on without him. Ford tries to reach out to his former friend, but it's too late, as McGucket kicks over a giant stack of boxes and mechanical junk, landing on the door. Fiddleford puts up a fight but is eventually cornered by the agents and taken into custody. The gang runs through the forest. As night approaches, they can hear helicopters hovering above, as if the world was closing in on them. "Where are we going, Grunkle Ford?" "To a security van I created a couple years ago in case of an emergency." They make it to this cave in the woods where he reveals a dingy hippie van. Ford shows them how on the inside, it's actually a massive room where they have all the space, appliances, and equipment they'll need. It's kind of like in Harry Potter whenever Harry and the Weasleys went into that tent and it appeared small on the outside, but was actually huge on the inside using magic. Except here it's a mixture of science and the supernatural. They hop in the van as hippie animatronics built by McGucket drive the vehicle out of Gravity Falls. We cut to later, and once they're on the road heading out as far east as possible, Mabel stops Ford and Stan. "Okay, now that we're basically wanted fugitives just sitting around, could you please tell us what the heck is going on?" "Stanley and I were planning to come this summer, like we always have. But before you arrived, something went wrong." He goes into a story of how he and Stanley were doing what they've been doing for years, traveling the sea to distant lands in search of treasure and scientific discoveries. On a dock in the Atlantic about a year ago, Stanley started exhibiting strange interests late at night. He'd appear to fall asleep, but then he would wake up, wanting to get better knowledge of science and research like Ford did. On their various travels, I think it would be a cool idea if Stanley taught Ford some street smarts and people skills, since it was something that was never inherently his strong suit. Since Stanley is teaching Ford these skills, Stanley only feels it's natural to try and pick up on some science stuff from Ford. At the time, Ford thought nothing of it. He was proud of his brother taking an interest in science, but the next morning, Stanley woke up exhausted. He didn't remember anything from the previous night. It wasn't until Ford would explain what was taught that Stanley would somewhat remember. He did this again for 3 nights in a row. Be super curious about science and then the next day, completely forget. One night, Ford decided not to teach Stanley anything. Despite Stanley getting irritated, Ford still put his foot down. Again, at the time, I didn't think anything of it. I told him if he wanted to learn science so badly, then just go into my study and read my research journals. For months, he did this until we finally came back to Gravity Falls, a month before Dipper and Mabel. We were planning to stay at the Mystery Shack, but Seuss left a note on the door saying, and I quote, "For Stans, Shack is closed, Melody is out of town. I'm going to see the visionary himself perform in Portland." Whatever that meant. "Little Big Dog! I wanted to go see a Little Big Dog." As they made their way into town, they noticed how federal agents were everywhere. Put off by their presence, they decided to head to McGucket's where he let them stay. However, by morning, Ford couldn't find Stanley anywhere. He and McGucket raced around town trying to find him. He wasn't even at the Mystery Shack, but luckily Seuss was kind enough to help them look. As nighttime fell, they became increasingly worried, and that's when McGucket found out he had several pieces of equipment missing. Ford tried to make a connection with what he took to something he'd do, but nothing made sense. Unless Ford began to draw out an equation with the proper tools associated with it. Stanley was trying to create a machine to break the barrier of Gravity Falls. Wait, what barrier? Gravity Falls' natural law of weirdness magnetism. He goes on to explain the concept of how there's some kind of force within the town that attracts weird things to it. It's also the same force that kept Weirdmageddon from spreading across the world. But why was Stan trying to break the barrier? That's what I wanted to find out. We found him in the woods, but by then it was too late. We cut back to the story. Stanley has a machine that's starting up in the woods. "Stanley, what have you done?" When he makes it to him, he notices something isn't right. It's almost as if he was sleepwalking. Ford grabs him by the shoulders. "Stanley, wake up! Can you hear me?" He's unresponsive. Ford goes over to the machine to try and stop it, but that's when Stanley lunges at Ford, punching him across the face. A fight breaks out between the two and Stanley, but Seuss manages to get the upper hand and destroy the machine in time. "Stanley, why did you do this?"
Sorry, Fordsy. Stan isn't here right now, but I will be very soon.
Ford, where am I? What's going on? Stanley, do you have any idea what you just did? What? No. Why are we in the middle of the woods? Ugh, it feels like I haven't slept in days. What's happening? What the heck, dude? Ford then rips a piece of cloth to cover Stanley's eyes. He goes over to McGucket and whispers, "We need to take him somewhere no one can find, where he won't know where he is. Do you have a place?" "I have a basement for my projects." "Good. We'll keep him there. Right now, I need to focus on making a portal." "The portal? No, you can't. Not again. I have no choice. If my theory is right. But we'll never know if I can't build it." "Will someone please answer me? This whole situation is making me, super nervous." "Seuss, that isn't Stanley. I think it might be Bill." "That's impossible. We destroyed Bill." "No, Dipper, we didn't." Alright, just get the memes out now, because I can see them coming in those comments.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
"I thought we destroyed Bill by using the memory gun, but when Stanley got his memories back, I believe somehow Bill was able to gain control over his mind, but only when he was asleep. It explains why he was so tired. His body and part of his mind never got to rest. I took him to McGucket's laboratory where I was able to design the portal and head to a dimension where Stanley could get the help he needed. McGucket would help me most days, but I had Seuss keep the secret. So that's where you've been all this time. And that explains why Seuss has been acting weird this summer. Well, you could have reached out. We could have been helping you. You don't think I know that? All I wanted was to see you and your sister, but it was too dangerous. I didn't want you to see me like that. Any chance the real me got to come out, I made it clear you two could never know I was there. Anytime I slept, Bill was making me say and do terrible things. If anything happened, I wouldn't want that to be your last memory of me." The twins are moved by his words. Though they're upset, they know he's right. And there was another reason. During this time, Seuss kept me updated on what was happening, not only to know what was going on with YouTube, but what was happening in the town. With federal agents present, I didn't want them catching wind of my operation. The kind of power used by the portal and Bill's spirit doesn't need to be in the hands of anyone, let alone the government. Luckily, when you broke in, you were able to get past McGucket security, and we were able to cure Stanley in time. So that shiny yellow stuff, that was him? Yes. Those creatures you saw were allies during my time dimension hopping. They understand the threat Bill possesses and they are disposing of him as we speak. Dipper shakes his head. It still doesn't make sense. If bringing back Grunkle Stan's memories brought Bill back, why is he acting out now? As the group thinks, Pacifica pops in. "Wait a minute. You said Stanley was acting strange a year ago, right?" "Correct." I don't know how I became the genius, but okay. What other weird things started happening around a year ago in Gravity Falls? The anomalies? Yes. We know Gravity Falls attracts weird stuff because of that magnet thing you mentioned. Gravity Falls' natural law of, yeah, that thing. Anyway, it can't just be a coincidence that Stanley started showing signs of Bill the same time scary creatures started showing up in town. We shouldn't be asking what happened to Stanley to bring Bill back. We should be asking what happened in the world to bring Bill out of Stanley. Pacifica, you're right. Of course I am. If something's triggered dark entities to come into Gravity Falls, that same force might have awakened Bill inside Stanley. Melody sees Seuss with his face in his hands. Are you okay? I'm totally fine. This conversation's just making my head hurt. Ford thinks this over. This is an intriguing theory. I'll have to think it over. But for now, we need to keep a low profile. Knowing Bill, he won't stop. The twins go to Stanley as he begins to apologize for the lies and tribulation they were put through. With a better understanding, they forgive him and embrace in a group hug. We cut to later to see the Oracle's allies in a dark dimension. They head up a mountain where a lava-like substance flows. Hand it here. Just as he's about to dunk it in, they hear something out in the distance. And that was just the first episode. Do you see why this took so long to make? Going forward, the stage is now set for us to not only have more one-off episodes, but to also explore this world in ways we've never seen before. Since they're spending their time in the Midwest area, it would be cool if in the towns they stop at, they have to solve some kind of mystery going on, paying homage to those Hanna-Barbera cartoons I was bringing up earlier. Why? Because I like Scooby-Doo, and this is my pitch. As far as what they're doing besides escaping the law and solving mysteries, there's still some character stuff that I would want to showcase. While on the road, everyone essentially cuts themselves off from the outside world. Ford doesn't want anyone to be tracked, so he has them confiscate their cell phones. Mabel says she left hers at the shack. Hopefully no one will find it there. However, when she's alone, we see her pull out her phone. She knows it's bad to do this, but she has to do something. She sends a simple message to Grinda and Candy, telling them the group is okay and they're hiding. Since Ford is trying to solve everything going on with Bill and the anomalies, it would be cool if we got to see Dipper help him with these investigations. It was a relationship we barely got to see in the original series, so it would be cool if we got to see the two of them interact more. We also see during this time Ford is very down on himself. If he hadn't done this irresponsible research years ago, none of this would have happened. Stanley and the twins try to encourage him to look past it, but he still feels awful. He's overwhelmed by this sense of guilt and feels the need to take responsibility for what he's unleashed upon the world. During the investigation, Ford doesn't fully know how Bill came back, but he has a theory which is as follows. When Weirdmageddon happened, they were about to perform a ritual that would unleash a power strong enough to defeat Bill once and for all. Only they never finished it. He realizes they have to recreate the Zodiac prophecy to put a stop to not only Bill, but these anomalies from spreading across Gravity Falls and the world. Now they have a new mission. Find Robbie Valentino and Gideon Gleeful to perform the ritual. Robbie is currently on tour across the states and has a concert coming up in 3 weeks in New York. In order to get Gideon there, however, Mabel offers to send a letter to him saying to come to the concert and be her true love. It's a little jacked up, but it's the only option they have since they need him now, and he's currently residing in South America of all places. I'll expand on that later. But in the meantime, here are some ideas that would happen on the road, starting with Pacifica and Dipper are now in the early stages of a relationship, and it could be cool navigating the complexities of new romance. Maybe as they're about to go on their first date inside a secluded, low-profile town, members of the group split up and they're trying to tell Dipper and Pacifica what to do, with both of them by the end realizing that just being themselves is enough for each other. I think the way with the plot is set up as kind of a road trip, it gives us the opportunity to showcase character dynamics we've never thought of before. I'm thinking of something along the lines of Steve and Dustin from Stranger Things. When you saw the first season, no one would have ever thought putting the two together, but after season 2, you can't imagine the show without their friendship. So I want to do the same here for these characters. One that I like the idea of is Mabel and Ford going on an adventure. They're so different in their personalities, but I think that's why they would work. Since Mabel takes after Stanley and Dipper takes after Ford, it could be an interesting way for each personality type to understand their twin in a different way. Another one that could be cool is Pacifica hanging out with either Wendy or Stanley. It would be interesting to see how Pacifica would deal with Dipper's former crush. It could be a lesson for Pacifica to overcome jealousy. As with her and Stanley, it could be cool if it turns out since they have such strong personalities, they find out they have a lot of the same beliefs about the world and can bond over it. There could be other character dynamics that could be interesting, but those were just the ones that stuck out to me. After it was revealed that Seuss was trying to keep the secret to protect everyone, it kind of made things awkward between him and Melody. She understands his reasoning, but she brings up the fact that they're married now. Trust and honesty is what's most important, and if they don't have that, then what do they have? As I said in my last pitch, I want to continue that journey with them. Not only for Melody to accept that her partner isn't perfect and will make mistakes, but also for Seuss to learn that he can't keep secrets. After the events in the basement, the twins still aren't talking to each other about their future in college. I wouldn't want them to be hostile towards each other or just not talk to each other the entire time because that would just suck to see and would get old really quick. So the adventures on the road, they still talk. They still go on missions together, but it's kind of an unsaid rule that they aren't alone together. Not just by the group, but the twins themselves. While this may seem like a petty thing to be mad about, it's reaching at something deeper in the characters that's never been fully addressed. Now for one of my most anticipated parts of this pitch, which is everything in... There was one plotline in the original series that did not get the proper amount of screen time. It was everything involving the government agents. The reason I loved this is because it brought a certain gravity, no pun intended, to the situation, not only revolving around Stanley, but the overarching mystery of the story. Due to the crazy weirdness the show exposes us to, the inclusion of government agents just brought a certain sense of realism and credibility to the threats in this small town. When season 2 of the original show started, I thought that whole plotline was going to have a much bigger role, but after the episode Not What He Seems, it was kind of just brushed off as not a big thing. So going forward, I would want to explore this side of the Gravity Falls world through the eyes of Agent Smith. We get a flashback picking up on the events after the group escaped Gravity Falls from the perspective of the agents. They call in more agents from Fax, but Smith and his team explore the mansion and discover the basement, uncovering the remnants of the destroyed portal. What is this thing? I don't know, but whatever it is, they obviously didn't want us to find out. We need to contact HQ. They need to know what's happening. Even the fact that they got away? Yes. We follow protocol. As I mentioned in part 1, Smith is without a doubt an asshole, but he does follow a clear set of rules. He's not concerned with research. He wants to get rid of all weirdness, and he's willing to sacrifice some, but it's always for what he perceives as the greater good. On top of that, he's willing to be honest and forthright no matter who he's talking to. They call the board of facts and tell them the situation about the anomalies, the Pines family, and some kind of machine they constructed and destroyed. We've solved the mystery, but the culprits have gotten away. We will accept any punishment. Calm down, Agent. You've cracked the case. The Pines family will be dealt with in time. Right now, the director is coming to Gravity Falls to oversee the rest of the mission. The director's coming here? Yes, he is. And as far as you and your team, we have a new mission for you. We then have a montage as the board gives them the rundown of what they need to do. They begin setting up walls around the town with more established checkpoints and higher amounts of security. It's like the town has become a giant prison. Oh, and they actually build a high security prison in the town as well. The reason given is because dangerous individuals have escaped. The Pines, the Ramirezes, Wendy, and Pacifica. They say this group was conducting illegal experiments. It's the reason for the anomalies and the town's inherent weirdness. Everything we're doing is for your protection. The town immediately hates this. They try to boo them out, but the agents have all the power, so they end up complying. As a way to lighten things up on this side of the story, I feel like this is a good opportunity to give the spotlight to characters I didn't even fully talk about in my last pitch, which is Candy and Grenda. For anyone who's seen my Gravity Falls tier list video, you know I'm not a big fan of these two. They're fine in moderation, but for me, they got pretty annoying after a while in the original show. But with the setup I now have, I feel like we could see a potentially more serious side to these characters. We could see how they immediately see through the BS of the agents, and after they get the text message from Mabel and they know the group is okay, they decide to work together not only for the sake of the town, but to clear their friends' names. But how are they going to do that? Agents have taken over the Mystery Shack, McGucket's in jail. How are we going to beat them? Well, McGucket is in prison right now, and he's the only one that knows where they went potentially. So all we gotta do is break McGucket out. Or we just go visit him during visiting hours. Yeah, that works too. They go inside the prison, and to their shock, it's not just McGucket locked up. The Corduroys, Nathaniel Northwest, and some others are in jail. They ask McGucket why they're here, and he says they're arresting the families associated with the Pines without due process. That's when Agent Smith comes in. Alright, that's enough chit-chat. Out you two go. How could you just arrest them? You know they did nothing wrong. Sorry, girls. I'm just following orders. Yeah, well, your orders suck. As they leave with no information gained, we see Smith look around to all these people imprisoned. For the briefest second, we see a wave of guilt come over his face. Agent Smith, the director is here, and he wishes to see you. He goes into a back office, and that's when we see the director for the first time. No, this does not mean I'm doing a Rick and Morty crossover. Or am I? Nah, I'm just kidding. Or am I? The director congratulates him on a job well done. I must admit, I didn't think you had it in you, but you're proving to be a better agent than your father ever was. I know you're still trying to prove yourself, but in my eyes, you've cleared your family's name. Thank you, sir. Are you sure you don't want to change it back? The name Powers has a better ring to it than Smith. Not until my mission is fully completed. Yep. Some of y'all called it Agent Smith is the son of Agent Powers from the original series. In my canon, we learned that when the agents come back to Washington, D.C., the government shuts down their program due to their lack of evidence and memory. Now, I will admit this next part is a little out there, but come on, so's the show. We see how Powers was part of a secret faction of the government, facts, where he and his family are all training to become agents. They live in a secluded neighborhood where on the surface it looks like a regular suburbia, but in reality it's an entire facility harboring families to become spies. When Powers comes back, he's brought shame upon his family, and now a young Smith is bullied by his peers. Due to this disgrace, Smith has always felt a burden to prove himself and his family, so he became top of his class and was able to reinstate facts as a secret government agency. Everything he's done is not only because he believes in this institution, but to also clear his family's name. The more we dig into Smith's backstory, the more we can see how this agency works. Since Gravity Falls has always been a show celebrating cryptids and the supernatural, it would be cool to have something like the SCP in the universe. For those of you who don't know what the SCP is, just go look it up. This video is long enough. Smith brings up how he's admittedly uncomfortable taking in families as prisoners. It's official protocol to bring them in for questioning, observation even, but to just hold them here? It's against the rules, sir. I don't like it. The director just laughs at him. He says that in order to get rid of this town's weirdness, they need to take control by any means necessary. Isn't that something you did while you were here? With all due respect, everything I did was in the rules and regulations. Oh, just stop it. The director hands him a booklet. I have a new assignment for you and your team. I need you to hunt down the Pines family. How can we? We have no clue where they are or where they're going. Intel has gotten back to me. We have an idea. In order to find the Pines, we need to locate these two individuals. There's more information in the pamphlet. Just follow the plan as specified and your mission will be complete. Understood. We pan to the photos the director showed Smith. Gideon Gleeful and Robbie Valentino. Y'all starting to put things together? As I've shown, Smith is starting to feel uncomfortable with the orders he's now been given. The director isn't a super main character, but when we do get to see him, there is something slightly off with him. There may be, in fact, something more mysterious happening. In the meantime, with Grinda and Candy at their wits' end, they end up building an underground resistance group, gathering the popular side characters of the show to help take back their town. Maybe there could be a funny bit homaging Red Dawn as they resist the agents, but Phineas and Ferb already beat me to that joke. As they help start this group, Candy continues to message Mabel about what's going on in Gravity Falls. Since she's very smart, she creates a chip that isn't tracked by anyone within the town. How is this possible? I don't know. It's the magic of science. Woo! Though she knows and tells Mabel not to message back, she thinks it's important to let her friend know what's going on. We see Mabel sneak her phone out every night to read the messages from Candy, growing angrier by the minute by what the agents are doing and what's happening to the town. Everything culminates in the episode which I call... It's around 3 weeks later on the road. The group has gotten along and the relationships have all been mended. All but one. Dipper and Mabel. When she sees him sitting alone, Mabel takes this time to talk. She tries to talk about what went down in the basement, but Dipper doesn't want to hear it. With everything that's happened, it's the last thing he wants to deal with. She keeps crying for an answer, but he finally stops her. Mabel, I don't want to do this right now. Why? Look, I know it's uncomfortable, but we need to talk about the future. The future isn't even going to happen if we don't perform this ritual. We can talk about it later, okay? Okay. Guys, what's that noise? Pacifica looks out a window and sees a giant glowing beam soar across the sky. Mr. Ford, what is that? He rushes to the window as a beam shoots overhead. Everyone get down! What was that? I don't know. Suddenly, a dragon-like bird with tentacles in its mouth screeches in front of their RV before leaping above it and picking it up, soaring them across the skies. The group begins to fight it off any way they can until it finally releases them and they slam back to the ground. Ford and Stanley run outside with weapons as they see the creature fly away into the night. Could it be? It is. That's an anomaly. How is that even possible? We're nowhere near Gravity Falls. Wait, we've been running into weird stuff this whole trip. Why are we freaking out over this thing? Weirdness can exist outside Gravity Falls, but this was different. That was an anomaly. And the fact that we just ran into one means the equation. It's been solved. What? How do you know? The beam we saw just before the creature attacked. The law shows us that Gravity Falls attracts weirdness into the town. Not only that, anomalies are kept in by the barrier, but when it's gone, the floodgates are essentially open. With no barrier protecting the world, anomalies will begin to appear everywhere. Stanley shakes his head. I thought we destroyed everything back in the lab. How could anyone have solved the equation if you're the only one that knows how to solve it? The Oracle's allies. Something must have happened to them. Maybe? I don't know. Guys, what if it was the agents? It's what Pacifica said several weeks ago. The anomaly showed up a year ago. That's when Stanley was possessed by Bill, and that's when the agents showed up at Gravity Falls. What if there's people in Fax that want the barrier gone? What if someone in there is also an agent of Bill? This theory doesn't make sense with the ways we know Bill operates, but it's the best we've got. Ford looks out the window to see a sign for New York City. We have to perform this ritual. I have to make this right. They finally get to New York and the group is stunned by the sights. For most of them, they've never been to a city, let alone one so big and iconic. Stanley frowns. I don't like it. New York is basically New Jersey with a fancy aesthetic, not to mention all the pretentious hipsters that come from Los Angeles. Stanley grabs Dipper and glares into his soul. Never lose her, Dipper. Never lose her. Okay. They make it to Robbie's venue hours before the event. Robbie comes from around the corner with Tambry. Wendy? Is that you? And Mr. Pines? Well, looks like you finally got my name right. What? That's what I've always called you. Tambry runs up to her old friend. How are you? Are you guys here to see us perform? I wish, but Ford steps up. We unfortunately need Robbie to come with us. I'm sorry guys, but we're kind of famous now. If you want to interview us, it's gonna cost you, but don't worry, there's a friends and family discount. Ugh, we don't want to interview you. We need you in order to save the world. We cut to later as they're backstage. They told Robbie the whole story. He and Tambry are in shock. She brings up the importance of the show, but Robbie, in a surprisingly mature moment, says he has to go with them. After all, what's the point of going on a worldwide tour if there's no world to tour? She agrees, but only if she can go with them. They go to leave, but suddenly, venue staff blocks the exits. Guys, what are you doing? One guard steps forward. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid you aren't going anywhere. The group is taken aback as they're now surrounded by agents. How did you even find us? Intel gathered tells us you need Robbie Valentino and Gideon Gleeful to perform some ritual to end the world. And I won't let that happen. Smith, please just listen to me. If you care about saving the world, you'll let us go. Why would I trust a group of people who built a doomsday weapon? Just listen, okay? There's someone in Fax that wants to bring more anomalies into the world. They're working for an interdimensional demon named Bill Cipher. Anomalies are about to start appearing all over the country unless you help us stop them. And why would I believe you? And why should we believe you? We aren't going to end up in prison like all the rest of Gravity Falls. The group sits in silence for a second before turning to meet her gaze. What do you mean in prison? How do you know what's happening in Gravity Falls? Mabel, what did you do? Suddenly, they begin to hear screams outside. They run out to a crowd of people running past them. There's some kind of monster coming their way. The group is just curious. It's a giant kitten? Aw, it's kind of adorable. The group screams in terror as they get into the van and drive off. The agents were too stunned to see this happen. Smith is the one who's most stunned. That's an anomaly. How is it here in New York? Sir, the Pines family is getting away with Robbie Valentino. He snaps back to it. After them. Back with the group, the creature then begins to slither at full speed towards them. They slam on the gas as the van makes its way through the front doors, a space too small for the creature to get through. It roars in frustration as it slithers away. They get out of the car as Mabel shouts in celebration. However, Dipper storms up to her. How did you know what was happening in town? Okay, look. I didn't leave my phone at the shack. I had it with me the whole time. I know it was bad, but I needed to tell Grinda and Candy we were okay. I just sent one message telling them that. She was sending updates over what was happening, but I never responded back. I can't believe this. Hey, but we now know who's ever working at Fax is working for Bill. They would have had to have known our plan from the start, so they didn't track us through me. It doesn't matter. By keeping that secret, you put us all at risk. You always do this. You always act like you care about others, but in reality, all you care about is yourself. Dipper, No! I'm not hearing it anymore. Look at me. I've always been there for you. I've sacrificed so much for your happiness, and what have I gotten in return? I never wanted that from you. Just like I never asked you to leave your dream school behind for me. You never had to. Because we both know you'd never make it without me. Dipper is realizing the weight of his words before they can see the rest of the group uncomfortably waiting on them. Enough, kids. Gideon's flight will be here any minute. They begin walking away as Mabel walks by herself behind the group in shame. They start making their way through the now evacuated airport. The cat snake is striking at helicopters outside. The group realizes that due to this creature, the planes won't be landing here anytime soon. They decide that they have to help get rid of the creature somehow, then go into hiding until Gideon's plane arrives. As they try to come up with a plan to help those outside, that's when they hear Smith and his agents make their way into the airport. So I'm not sure how everything would play out from here. Again, this is just supposed to be a pitch, but as they lurk around, the group ends up in separate sections of a hangar bay. They can all see each other, but an agent standing on guard in the center is blocking the easiest exit. Luckily, Ford and Stanley are in the back corner, where all they have to do is sneak through some offices and they're home free. They signal to everyone else in the hangar to come to them. Most of them make it. All that's left is the twins, Robbie and Tambry. Dipper tells Mabel to go first and she nods. Their relationship is strained, yes, but he wants his sister safe. She starts to sneak by. The agent turns his gaze and orders her to freeze. She runs towards Stan and Ford. She gets blasted with a stun ray. She falls to the ground unconscious. Dipper shouts out to his sister as more agents come in, blasting in their direction. Dipper's group runs away and they end up at a fence. Over it is the Hudson River. Robbie is about to climb over as Dipper is looking back at the hangar. Wait, we can't! We have to go back! Dipper, those agents got them. We have to run. Agents spot them and are starting to run their way. Dipper has no choice. He closes his eyes and he hops over the fence, falling into the river. We cut to later as agents bring the group to Smith. Where are the others? They escaped by jumping into the Hudson, sir. Send boats out now. What do we do with them, sir? Put them in a copter. We're heading back to Gravity Falls. Back in the city, Dipper, Robbie, and Tambry end up washed into a sewer tunnel. Robbie checks on the other two. Tambry, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Dipper, are you good? Dipper? They're gone. I told her what a horrible person she was. That's the last thing I ever told my sister. Come on, man, there's still time. No, there isn't. Even if we got back to the airport, they'd be long gone by now. It's over. Bill's won. What about that Gideon kid? According to my phone, flights are resuming. Agents might be there, yeah, but we can still solve a piece of the puzzle. If we get to him, we can still have a chance to stop Bill. What do you say, kid? The group lands inside Gravity Falls and are told to land at McGuckett's mansion. The director waits inside the lab as Agent Smith brings the group down. We have teams deployed for the remaining 3, sir. The director turns around with a crazy look in his eyes. Geez, well that's disappointing. Ah well, we have most of them, and that's enough. Smith raises an eyebrow. The director was always odd with his speech. This was different. Smith looks past the director and sees the machine. It's been reconstructed. Sir, why is the machine rebuilt? Ah, you notice what I've been working on. Yeah, I wasn't sure about it at first either, but once this thing is open, we'll have what we've always wanted. Unlimited control. Smith looks to the group, who looks at him with pleading eyes. Sir, we're supposed to dispose of this. It's dangerous. Smith, we're not only going to save the world with this. Once we get this thing fully operational in a couple minutes... A couple minutes? He looks in horror at the machine. Director? I can't let you do this. Shut it down. Well, gosh darn it. Agents flood the room, aiming their blasters at him. I didn't want to have to do this, but you left me no choice. You could have been one of us. In fact, he gave you that same opportunity. Isn't that right? Stanford Pines. The director turns his gaze to Ford. So, it really is you. No, he's not here with us, but he will be real soon. Before anything happens, tell me, how did he do it? Oh, it's a lot, trust me, the director says as he pulls out a book. But that's a story for another time. We see not only Gravity Falls, but cities from across the world fall into darkness as giant anomalies take over. Chasms open up across the ground as monsters crawl their way up into the world, attacking everything and everyone around them. We cut back to the portal room as it begins to calm down. The director stands there smiling. Welcome back, Mr. Cypher. Bill Cypher comes through the portal. Even the agents and director are freaked out by what they've let in.
Fordsy!
Bill Cypher hovers over to Ford.
How long has it been? You surprised? You couldn't have thought Weird Mageddon was the last you'd see of me. I told you we'd meet again someday, and here I am.
As Bill Cypher enters the room, there's something off. He doesn't look quite the same. There's giant glowing cracks in his body. On top of that, his speech and body will sometimes glitch. It's kind of hard to convey in a pitch like this, but his voice would be something akin to Riddler's in Arkham City.
I'm an instrument whose music always comes from the heart.
And his body would glitch like those in the Spider-Verse movies when they're not in their own dimension. Not only could this be like a super cool new detail for this iconic character, but it could also highlight that even though he's back, there's something not quite right with him. The group is terrified by his presence, but as he spasms, Mabel and Ford can't help but notice. The director steps in. I'm glad you're here, sir. He pulls out a book. Here it is, as requested.
Give me that, you idiot!
Bill takes the book. What's the deal? You said you wanted it first thing.
Not here! Cover their eyes up. No peeking.
As they blindfold them, Bill opens up the book. A yellow energy beams out as it enters his eye. Bill begins to laugh maniacally as one of the cracks in his body begins to disappear.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about!
As the group can see again, Bill glares in hatred.
Now even though I should just kill you, that wouldn't nearly be enough to make up for what you did to me. Do you have any idea what I've had to put up with? What I've been through to get here?
The agents force them up and escort them to the portal. Honestly, I expected more from you, Bill. Coming back just to try Weird Mageddon again? It's honestly quite lazy on your part.
Ha! You'd think so, wouldn't you, Fordsy? Fortunately, I have more plans than just the apocalypse. By the time I'm done, I will be beyond
comprehension.
They get close to the portal as a burning sensation comes over them.
Welcome to the rest of your lives.
Sir, what now?
Destroy it.
An agent clicks a button and the portal explodes, leaving nothing but smoke and debris. Well, now that you're here, we can finally... Suddenly, Bill raises the director in the air, choking him.
Where is it? Where's the final piece?
My men have been searching for months now. We haven't found it, but we're close. I can feel it. Just give me more time. He throws him to the floor in frustration. I think I liked you more when you were a book.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is the fact that part of my being is missing possibly contributing to my
Cranky mood?
My mind and spirit are now one. There's just one more piece of the puzzle before everything you've ever wanted will come true.
I know this, and trust me, please. It will be found. It's out there, somewhere in the woods. And it's not the only thing we need to find. We still have 3 on the loose. We cut to Dipper. He's with Tambury and Robbie as they contemplate their way back into the airport. Dipper comes up with a plan to sneak past agents securing the building to retrieve Gideon. However, as he's about to enact the plan, that's when there's a grand rumbling. The anomalies due to Bill's presence have begun Weirdmageddon worldwide. During this segment of monsters and anomalies attacking the world, I would want to point out that this is still Gravity Falls and Weirdmageddon is still happening. Like the bubbles of pure madness, water towers turning sentient, or that one-armed guy that kept telling Dipper to get in his mouth. Things should be uncanny, but I would want them to have some kind of comedic effect to them. Even though I'm going for a slightly darker tone in this reboot, I wouldn't want it to fully lose its childlike charm. As the monsters make their way into the city, they overhear agents talking about how they can't get into contact with HQ and how anomalies are appearing all over the world. They collectively roll out and make their way into the city to help. Well, that was easy. Really, Robbie? You had to say that? Now something bad is gonna happen to us. Like, suddenly the ground begins to crack open as zombies begin to attack those on the surface. Zombies! Of course. The 3 make it into the airport but quickly become surrounded. What do? Dipper sees that there are speakers all over the airport. Wait, that's it! I remember! Back in Gravity Falls, when we fought zombies, we learned they can be defeated by a 3-part harmony. If we get to the control tower where the speakers are, we can sing and destroy these zombies from hurting people. Babe, do you know what this means? We get to rock out one last time? Yes, but also, our music is gonna save lives. I hope your music is better than your banter. They make their way up the tower as Robbie finds a suitcase with a guitar. Dipper hooks the mic up and they play something probably to the equivalent of Threshold from Scott Pilgrim. Robbie and Tambury are of course rocking out, but Dipper struggles to keep up with them because he doesn't know the song. As a result, zombies are still making their way up to attack people. Dipper, what are you doing? I don't know the lyrics to the song. How can I keep up? You don't have to know. Just feel the music, dude. During the bridge, Dipper closes his eyes. Just feel the music. They finish the song and the 3 celebrate their victory. Holy crap, that was awesome. I can't even lie, kid. That was pretty sick. Suddenly, something catches his attention in the corner of his eye. Down in the landing field, as people flee the plane, there's one person that comes out last. Gideon! He looks up to see the 3 in the tower. We cut to a couple hours later as the 4 of them make shelter in Ford's crashed van. They tell Gideon about Bill's return, the Zodiac prophecy, and how the agents ended up kidnapping the rest of the group. So Mabel's letter, that was just to get me out here? The room gets awkwardly silent. Listen, I know it was really low on our part, but we had government agents trying to track us everywhere and we needed you fast. I know Mabel was hesitant, but I and the rest of the group encouraged her to do it. I'm sorry, man. Dipper, it's okay. Wait, you're not mad? Oh heavens no. I get y'all were desperate now, but I had to come and tell her in person. We could never be. Wow, that's really mature of you. There's a noticeable calm to Gideon that, while comforting in the moment, only disturbs the 3 given their history. He goes on to say how he actually has a girlfriend back in Brazil, and given he and Mabel's time in Gravity Falls, he only felt it was right to tell her this in person. Alright, I gotta know, how does a former psychic child star end up with a girlfriend while living in Brazil? Oh, it's certainly a long story, but right now we don't have time for it. We need to create a plan so we can make it back to Gravity Falls and stop Bill. Where do you think the agents took them? Well, assuming our theory was correct and someone in the head of facts is working for them, I'm not sure. They could be arrested, they could be being tortured by Bill, they could be dead. Do we have any way to contact those in Gravity Falls? Dipper's eyes widen. He runs over to a locker and finds everyone's cell phone. I know Mabel was in contact with Candy and Grinda. He pulls out her phone and there's no signal. I guess that makes sense, considering the state of things. Well, look where we are. Ford has to have some kind of gadget or tech thing so we can call them. The group looks in the cabinets and boxes until Gideon comes across a weird looking device that looks somewhat like a phone. I remember Ford telling me about this. He invented this as a way to keep up with me and Mabel since he didn't want to learn how to use the cell phone we got him. A tech genius who created an interdimensional portal doesn't know how to use a cell phone? What can I say? He's a boomer. Dipper gives Candy a call, hearing nothing but static on the other end, until suddenly, he makes out voices. People. Candy? Can you hear me? This is Dipper. Can you hear me? Dipper? You're alive? The four are over the moon with excitement. How are you calling me? Ford has his gadgets. Makes sense. Where are Mabel and everyone else? I thought you couldn't make contact. Well, that was before the end of the world. Bill is back and the agents of Fax are working for him. They've taken Mabel and the others. I need to know if you've seen or heard anything from them. I'm sorry, Dipper, but I haven't. To keep a long story short, me and Grinda have basically started a rebellion within Gravity Falls. What? But ever since the sky opened up, we've retreated into hiding. The whole town is in chaos. But hold on, you said Bill Cipher is back? I believe so. Weirdmageddon isn't just happening in Gravity Falls, but the entire world. Hold on a minute, Candy. We got reports of multiple helicopters coming in before Weirdmageddon. They landed just outside McGucket's manor. That's where they were taken. Dipper looks at the other three. If we're going to save the world, we need to get back to that lab. Mabel opens her eyes. She's in a white, cold, sterile cell of sorts. Where am I? She goes over to the door and sees a hallway with other cells. Guys? Guys? Grunkle Stan, Wendy, Seuss! Suddenly, the doors open as everyone comes out of their cells. Mabel runs up to the group. Guys, where are we? Why does it feel so weird in here? It kind of feels like I'm dreaming, but also awake at the same time. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Oof, I hate that feeling. This place is super eerie. Ford steps up. I don't remember what happened. We were going to the portal and then I woke up here. What is this place? You're an agent, you tell me. These aren't the cells Fax created. This is something else entirely. Suddenly, a door opens at the end of the hallway, leading to a rec room. Do you think you have an idea of where we are, Grunkle Ford? You're in a realm outside of time and space. The group looks over as a figure removes her hood. Ford is speechless at the sight. Oracle? Yes, Stanford. Welcome to the Theraprism. Okay, so this section might be split up a bit because there is a lot of ground I need to cover. How on earth did Bill pull this off? What is the Theraprism? Who the heck is the Oracle? I guess that's about it. First, the Oracle. According to Journal 3, Ford met her in his journey dimension hopping. She's an extra-dimensional being that also has the ability to look into the future and make prophecies. I'll expand why she's in the Theraprism a little bit later. This next part will be over Bill's cipher, and I will admit, a lot of what I'm about to share has been explained in the Book of Bill, but I want to give further context for people who may not have read the book, or who aren't as knowledgeable about the lore in Gravity Falls. Bill awakens in a plane outside of time and space. He looks around until he sees him, a giant axolotl floating in the cosmos. Pause. Okay, some might be wondering, what the f is this discount salamander doing in space with Bill Cipher? In the book Dipper and Mabel and the Curse of the Time Pirates, there's a puzzle to solve where we see missing pages from the book. Those missing pages are where Dipper and Mabel go into some time space or something and come across the axolotl. He's basically God in the Gravity Falls universe. He's all-powerful, but also very loving and merciful. He's worshipped by many beings across the multiverse, including the Oracle. Those weird squiggly guys I made as well, yet they worship him too, but that's my added lore. Anyway, Dipper asks him about Bill Cipher, and he says a very eerie poem about Bill's past. However, there's a lot of mysticism and unexplained lore surrounding his character, and I would want to keep that as much as possible.
Hey, Oxy, my old pal. How's it going being creator and sustainer of all the universe? I guess you heard my call. Listen, I'm in a bit of a rush. I need to get back to the third dimension and take care of a couple of meat puppets. You know how they are. So what do you say? Can you help me out this time? Oxy?
No, Bill. I can't allow that. Bill gets angry and tries to use his powers, but it doesn't do anything. You are far beyond any plane of existence right now. Your powers are nothing in my presence. Now tell me, why have you summoned me so you can engage in more destruction?
Psst, okay, Oxy. You're gonna have to lose the whole cosmic god shtick. It's really not gonna work on me.
You missed them.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do, Bill. I am the Axolotl, the ultimate being in all conceivable reality. I know you still think of them. I know you miss them.
Shut up.
I know deep down you're sorry for what you did.
Shut up!
You have caused more destruction and grief than any entity in existence. But I am merciful, and I want to see you do better than you have. If you want me to uphold my end of the deal, you must pass a challenge for me.
Fine, whatever. I'll do whatever I can to get back.
Know this, Bill. What awaits you is the hardest trial you will ever face. If you fight the process, you will...
Yeah, just get on with it.
Very well. Until next time, Bill. Bill is inside a padded room. It looks similar to the one Mabel and the group were in. He walks out and is greeted by a lovely entity. Welcome, Bill Cipher, to the Theraprism. During this time in the Theraprism, we see that it is a facility for cosmic entities to seek therapeutic help. Bill has now been sent here by the Axolotl to come to terms with not only what he's done, but to actively make a change. After each session in therapy, he begins to break down mentally over the trauma and mistakes he's made in his past. But we don't see what that is yet. I'm also going to be adding a piece of lore that's of my own, so bear with me a minute. Since this is a realm outside of space-time, it doesn't function the same way things do here on our dimension. After every therapy session, the entities take a piece of their soul and put it in a thing called a soulometer, a device that scans the purity of one's soul. Bill has to have his scanned every week for progress. He takes a piece of himself and places it within the soulometer. Week after week, he shows no progress, even with the constant reminders of what he did. One day, there's a new patient that comes in, a giant yellow dog, simply known as the Beast. He joins them in intensive care. He finds out after security storms into the cell blocks at night that the Beast has a contraband item originally from Earth. He glances over and sees a regular old book. One day, Bill sneaks around the facility, evading guards, and eventually finds the contraband room. Inside, he finds a machine that shoots items back to their respective dimensions. He thinks this is a chance to escape, but he can't. Prisoners can't make it through the portal. Suddenly, guards begin to bang at the door, demanding entrance. Bill panics. Not knowing what to do, he comes up with an impulsive plan, but it's one that maybe, just maybe, might work. He takes a part of his soul, implants it into the book, and tosses it into the portal. He's taken back by the guards, but he can sense something. There's a part of him, now on Earth. We see the book crash land in a dense forest where a park ranger decides to investigate. Cut to a government facility where alerts go off. The HQ of Facts. Agents rush into the control room where readings go off in a forest near Gravity Falls, Oregon. There, gentlemen. This is what we've trained for. We'll find out what happened 4 years ago. The director, along with several agents, fly out to the forest where they split up and search the area. They eventually make it to a ranger's tower where they find a ranger with pale white eyes. He's in a frozen state of fear. Search the area. The director examines the ranger and finds something covered by mud on the ground. He picks it up. A dark book with a red triangle. What the heck? He opens his eyes and time is frozen and gray. As he freaks out, he sees someone in the distance. Bill Cipher. He hovers over and scans him down. What are you?
My name's Bill. Bill Cipher. And by the looks of things, you're a pretty important guy, aren't you?
They get to talking and Bill sweet talks him and shows the director his powers. They end up making a deal. If the director helps make a portal and finds his physical body in Gravity Falls, Bill will give him ultimate power and control over the world. Being a power-hungry individual, the director agrees. I only have one question. How will you get out of this Theraprism?
Leave that to me.
We fast forward several months and we see how the agents took over the town. It was under the guise of taking out the supernatural, but in reality, the director was working for Bill's cipher all along. Due to Bill's mind in the book, it awakened his spirit within Stanley, and due to his presence, it awakened creatures from the nightmare realm to seep into our world, explaining the anomalies. Now 2/3 of Bill is in our world, and all he needs is one more thing. In the Theraprism, Ford is beyond happy to see the Oracle. They catch up on things that happened back when he was dimension hopping. He asks her why he's here, and she says how she was captured. Since Bill was controlling Stanley, he knew I was helping you cure him with my followers. This facility staff never detected it, but Bill began rallying support from other prisoners to help his escape. In particular, Patient 553, also known as the Beast. This creature had escaped the facility when he entered a lower tier security ward. It was making progress, but due to Bill's influence, managed to escape and hop around dimensions carrying out Bill's orders. So this beast was the same one who, yes, it killed my followers, the ones with the task in destroying the part of Bill we extracted from Stanley. What we didn't expect was for him to return to the Theraprism. The beast was able to get that piece of Bill back to him, granting Bill access to the power he once had. From there, he took over the facility, and with the influence he had over some patients, sent them on various tasks across dimensions, such as taking me prisoner and anyone resisting his tyranny. He manipulated everyone here? Not everyone. There were some who resisted. Suddenly, other prisoners walk into the room, but they were thrown in here with us, and like them, I was stripped of my powers. There were unfortunately others he executed. Yeah, hi, real quick question. Why is Bill killing his enemies but keeping others alive like us? If we're such a threat to him, why didn't he kill us on the spot? It's like he said before we left. He wants us to suffer for beating him 4 years ago. Dang, this dude's a certified hater. Ford thinks to himself. But there's something else we don't know. He says he has other plans besides Weirdmageddon. Oracle, I know you have the ability to periodically look into the future. Before your powers were taken, was there any time you saw what Bill planned to do? No, I was never able to. However, during the riot, I was able to access his patient records to look for a possible motive. She goes on to explain how Bill's cipher originated from the second dimension. However, for some reason, he had capabilities that stretched beyond that dimension. He was able to break free, but in order to do so, ended up destroying his entire dimension.
Imagine living in the second dimension. Flat minds in a flat world with flat dreams. I liberated my dimension, Stanford, and I'm here to liberate yours.
I remember him saying this to me. But what does this have to do with Bill now? Look at where we are. This facility is meant to rehabilitate the most villainous entities in the multiverse. While I could never believe it, deep down, I believe he feels intense remorse for what he's done. Trillions of lives were destroyed because of him, including his parents. I believe his plan is more than just Weirdmageddon. It's to reverse what he's done. He wants to correct his mistakes. Call me crazy, but that part of his plan doesn't sound so bad. He just wants to make things right. It's unfortunately not that simple. Because he's trying to become the supreme being of existence, he will have control over all things, including time. However, because his home existed in the second dimension, the rules there don't operate the same as those in the third dimension. If he goes to apply the same rules there, the consequences will be catastrophic. It would mean the end of existence itself across every plane of reality. This is your fault, Agent Smith says from the other side of the room. This guy, Bill Cipher. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be in this mess. His fault? Maybe if you weren't such a bootlicker and just listened to us in New York, we wouldn't be here. Gentlemen, enough. Fighting amongst ourselves will do nothing. Suddenly, monsters come in. They explain how under the authority of Bill Cipher, they are now prisoners here for the rest of eternity and order them back to their cells. Once there, Mabel thinks back to the conversation, the Oracle's words about how Bill can't change what he's done. His mistakes were made and there's nothing he can do to fix them. She begins to reflect on her own life, how she put the entire group in danger by reaching out to Candy and Grenda, how her lie to Dipper about college led to their strain. Then a thought begins to haunt her. Has she always been this way? Is she selfish? We cut to Dipper and the group as they make their way across the city to a specific location, Priscilla Northwest New York mansion. After the Northwests had their divorce, she took the money from what was left over and made a mansion for herself and her new husband just outside of New York City. Dipper knows, because of Pacifica, that not only does she have a private jet, but that their butler is a pilot. They get to the mansion, but no one is home. It's only when they head inside they eventually find Priscilla, her new husband, and the butler. I'm kind of picturing him as like Manny from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Just some kind of deadpan guy who can do anything. That kind of character would be like really fun in the show. They're all hunkered down inside. Dipper says they need him to fly them back to Gravity Falls. He mentions how his entire family has been taken by Bill, including Pacifica, but of course Priscilla says it's Pacifica's fault. Maybe if her father got his status back, she wouldn't have been hanging out with you hillbillies to begin with. Yeah, okay, I don't have time for this. Manny, can you help us? For Pacifica, anything. Manny, get back here this instant or you're fired. Okay. To be honest, there could be a little bit more explored with Priscilla's character, but I kind of like keeping the Northwest as unlikable as possible, so I'm just going to leave it at that. They end up getting on the plane and they book it. Hours later, while everyone has taken a seat, Dipper is frantically pacing around, trying to come up with ideas for what to do before they land. Gideon doesn't say anything, but is growing ever more concerned with his behavior. Before he speaks, something comes up on the radar. 2 unidentified objects. They look out the window to see flying anomalies strike at the plane. Manny tries many different maneuvers to dodge their attacks, but after too many hits, the plane begins to fall down. Dipper wakes up. Manny landed the plane, but it was through dense trees and forest. It's in complete disarray. He gets up to check on the others and they start to wake up. Dipper tries to find out where they are, but there's no way to tell. They're lost in the middle of a random forest. This can't be. This can't be. Dipper, we made it really far. We just have to keep... What don't you understand? The plane was the most assured way we'd make it to Gravity Falls. Now we're stuck here in the middle of nowhere during the apocalypse, and there's nothing we can do. We just have to accept it's over. Dipper storms off. Manny looks to the other 3. I tried my best. I'm sorry. Robbie and Tambry go to comfort him as Gideon goes after Dipper. When they're further away, Dipper notices him. Look, I'm sorry I snapped back there, but I'm just trying to come to terms with the fact that everything's screwed up, and it's because of me. Why would you say that? Dipper tells him about what went down, how he told Mabel such terrible things, how she's selfish and always used him for her benefit, like going to the same college with her, and how on top of all of that, he's the one that got them captured. I told her to go to Grunkle Stan, and that's when she stepped on something, I don't even know. It alerted the agents and that's when we got separated. I know it sounds silly, but I just have this feeling if I was honest about how I felt from the start, if I just applied to that stupid school I wanted, we wouldn't be in this mess. Well, why didn't you? I guess I've always felt this sense of responsibility for her. No one really knows this, but we didn't have the easiest home life. I just wanted her to feel happy, to feel safe, that we would grow up and face the world together, even if it's at the expense of what I want. If I'm not there by her side, like I promised, what kind of brother am I? I'm sorry, but how does this relate to your current situation? It relates because... Dipper's frozen. He doesn't have a response. Unless I missed something, I don't see how your actions brought this about. It sounds like you and Mabel have done some regrettable things to one another, but getting them captured? Bill coming back? All of these events were completely out of your control. A profound realization comes over Dipper. Do you know what I was doing in Brazil all this time? As you know, as a kid, I was a handful. I wanted complete control and dominance over everything and everyone. To be honest, I don't even know what drove me to that point. All I know is it was the lack of peace in here that made me that way.
For the past 4 years, I've been studying abroad for self-improvement, and do you know what I've learned? In order to be at peace with yourself, you have to learn to let go of what you can't control. Of course bad things will happen to us, but it's how we react that makes us who we are. It wasn't until I realized in pursuit of power and control, I was pushing away the things that mattered to me. I learned that you can't force people to be who you want them to be. It's the same with you and Mabel. Of course you love and care for her, but that doesn't mean controlling every aspect of your relationship. Sometimes the best way to love someone is to be someone worthy of loving. You used my line. Yeah, I know, but it was just too good to pass up. So, what do you say? Let's head back to the group and find out where we are. I have a feeling things are gonna work out in the end. Suddenly, Tambry comes over the hill. Guys, come here, quick! They run over to the group and they come across a highway. Wait a second, I know this road. Take a look at what you're standing on. Dipper steps back and sees a road sign. Gravity Falls, next exit. There's no way. Dipper turns to the group. Before we head out, I just want to say, I'm sorry for snapping earlier. Everyone has helped me in so many ways over the past couple days, and even though it's the end of the world, I'm glad to be here with you all. I know I haven't shown it a lot in this reboot, but I would want to show the connection that this group has. I feel like it could go into like what I said in my last pitch about unusual character dynamics. I feel like Dipper, Tambry, Robbie, Gideon could really be a cool dynamic to showcase. The 4 of them, and Manny, no shade, begin to make their way back to Gravity Falls. Back at the Theraprism, the group is let out of their cells and are forced to eat lunch. The group ends up sitting together, probably eating some weird multi-dimensional alien weirdness like this, and they begin to devise a plan on how to escape. However, the Oracle brings up how they need to find the way Bill was able to awaken in the real world, which helped him escape. That's when Ford mentions the book the director was holding. Maybe that was somehow linked into how Bill was able to get into their dimension. The Oracle says how there's a room for disposing of foreign objects to their respective dimensions, but the portal doesn't allow for prisoners to leave. The only way to get back to their world is by going through the main entrance, but it's not that simple for several reasons. 1. In order to pass through, besides closing off security, a patient has to know and admit what they've done wrong and promise to change. 2. Since this is a place outside of space-time and they're still occupying their physical bodies, they already had to have known on Earth what they did wrong and started to have make a change. And 3, if they haven't, only to acknowledge their wrongdoings in the Theraprism will they be given one more chance in the real world to make things right. She looks around the table. Do you all know something deep down that haunts you? Ford says it was his pride and ego, and also letting Bill into the real world. Stanley says it was his greediness. Wendy says not being honest with herself. Pacifica, it was being inconsiderate. Sue says lying to Melody, and she says not giving Seuss a second chance. We see Mabel sit on the corner, closed off and to herself, until she notices Agent Smith gets his lunch tray and sits by himself. Hey guys, I know he's not necessarily a friend, but shouldn't we have Smith in on this? Why? That dude's literally the worst. Seriously, even if we did let him in, he would just try and find a way to screw it up because things wouldn't go his way. Mabel's right. The group turns to Ford. Even though he's tried to stop us multiple times, we'll need him on our side to get back to Gravity Falls. If we're going to get back home, we need all the help we can get. Great. So, who's going to talk to him? Mabel looks at Smith. Even though he's been an antagonist all summer, she can't help but feel a connection to him. For some reason, they aren't so different. I'll go talk to him. Mabel goes and sits by him. What do you want? The group is planning an escape, and we need your help. Are you in? Are you serious? We're in some intergalactic prison, and you think we can escape? Face it, we're stuck in here. You know, just because you have nothing to go back to doesn't mean the rest of us don't. She was so loud that even the group heard her. She quiets back down when she realizes she caught the attention of everyone. What is your deal? What's my deal? What's your deal? You've been after me and my friends all summer, and for what? Some stupid organization's orders? Deep down you had to have known what you were doing was wrong. Of course I do. You don't think I do now? Ever since we got here, that's all that's been spinning in my head. In my pursuit to save the world, I led to its destruction. So you're just going to sit here and do nothing about it? Mabel looks at Smith, who is more depressed than ever. She takes a moment. I get how you feel. I
I messed up a lot. Not just recently, but so much throughout my life. It's only here I realized the weight of my actions. I've hurt a lot of people too. How do you move on without knowing if you'll be forgiven? You can't. Maybe there will be those who have been too hurt and you have to accept it. The only thing you can do is strive to be better going forward. So what do you say? If you remember back at the start of this series, I talked about how that time between your high school years and your college years is a really strange transitional period. You get hit with the realities of adulthood responsibilities. The friendships you built during high school and your formative years start to kind of disappear because we're all on separate paths. But most importantly, you start to realize the consequences of your actions. It's a time where you really start to reflect on what you've done and who you want to be going forward. As kids and teenagers, we develop so many insecurities, false beliefs, and behaviors that somewhat become baked into our identities. It's not until we're faced with the harsh realities of life we're presented with the choice. Continue to be who we were, or strive to be something better. You can't change who you were or what you've done. All you can do is be the best version of yourself that you can. Back in Gravity Falls, Dipper and the group are sneaking through the streets until they're suddenly ambushed by a group of people and blindfolded. When the blinds are removed, we see Candy, Grinda, and so many others from Gravity Falls who have joined the resistance. Dipper gets a smile on his face. Okay, let's do this. As the group in the Theraprism begins their plans, the Oracle looks to Smith and Mabel. The two begin to notice and ask what's going on with her. The finale will be split into two plot lines. We have Dipper leading the resistance movement against the agents in Gravity Falls, and the other will be following the group as they try to escape the Theraprism. Since this is a pitch, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not smart enough to write like a heist-like plot. But for the Theraprism side of the plot, I would want to take inspiration from the greatest prison break movie of all time, Toy Story 3. Now, some of y'all may be laughing, but you need to rewatch it. It's actually an amazing heist movie. Or breakout movie, one of those. The way they get out of Sunnyside is not only very creative, but shockingly suspenseful. I would want to go for the same vibes here. It could also be a chance to showcase each character's skill set in successfully escaping, along with the help of cosmic entities assisting them. On Dipper's side of the plot, I would want to go for the exact same vibe, only instead of breaking out of the Theraprism, they're breaking into a mansion. Maybe during these scenes, we could cut in between the two plot lines only for something to just go horribly wrong on both sides. As these heists start out, we cut to Bill sitting alone in a distant office. He looks out a window, observing the destruction and chaos taking place.
It's almost complete. Soon everything will be right again, and I will reign supreme.
So I saw some comments in my last video saying how they didn't like the idea of Bill coming back or the idea of Weirdmageddon happening again, and I do understand that sentiment, but there is kind of a part of me that slightly disagrees. For one, I think Alex clearly loves this character and has ideas with him in the future of this franchise. I mean, it's literally canon that he survived Weirdmageddon. What am I supposed to do, just not bring him back? But what I think is important is to not just bring him back for nostalgia's sake. Lord knows it's been done before and it's not pretty. He needs to be something beyond just an evil bad guy, but not go so far as to make him some misunderstood or deeply sympathetic character. Looking at you, Taka. I think with this added baggage of unresolved trauma in destroying his home, not only highlights some much needed lore surrounding his character, but also gives us a chance to humanize the villain. I made a video on this last year, but Bill Cipher I think is the perfect villain for this story because he's a direct reflection of the main character's worst traits. Ford's pride and ego, Stanley's greedy, lying nature, and Dipper and Mabel's refusal to accept the hardships of reality. Only why they overcome their flaws by the end? Bill is doomed by his. With the themes I've set up in this pitch about taking personal responsibility, it could be an interesting direction to take his character going forward. All we've seen of him is being an uncaring, psychotic entity hell-bent on creating as much chaos as possible as long as he's in charge. What if now, while he does feel some sense of guilt over what he's done, is still acting on his worst impulses under the guise of making things right? As he sits in the room, the director and agents come in with the news from around the world. He still hasn't heard of the location of Bill's body, but he has a feeling they're close. An agent whispers to the director, "If you don't mind me asking, sir, if he has the ability to possess someone right now, why not just take over an object or a person?"
Because it's not that simple, Buzzcut. A being in the third dimension is made up of 3 things: a soul, a mind, and most importantly, a 3-dimensional body. I was once 3-dimensional, but since I was scattered across the multiverse, my powers aren't what they once were. I could take over something foreign to me, but the consequences would be disastrous. In order to secure myself as supreme being of all reality, I need my original body.
Suddenly, an agent bursts in. "Director! Good news and bad news. Good news is we've recovered the asset. And what's the bad news? The civilians. They're revolting." We cut to the outside, and remember when I said something would go horribly wrong? Yeah, well, it does. What was it? I don't know. But now the agents have caught wind of their infiltration, and not only fights break out, but others inside the facility are now hiding from agents on high alert. Same goes for inside the Theraprism. Maybe something goes wrong, like someone gets spotted, and now it's an all-out brawl and a chase scene as our group tries to make it out. They make their way to the portal room, and after the Oracle turns on the portal, most of the group jumps through, making their way back to Earth. However, Mabel is falling behind. Bill's followers see what's happening and break their way into the control room to shut it down. They pull the lever. Mabel looks to the Oracle, shouting her name. "I can't leave you here." The Oracle looks back to Mabel as she's taken by guards. We don't understand it, but Mabel knows what she has to do. Keep running. On the other side, the group can see Mabel. She leaps forward. We cut to the commotion in Gravity Falls. Dipper, with the help of Tambry, Robbie, and Manny, is able to make his way into the mansion undetected. He sneaks through the halls, desperately struggling as he tries to hide himself from agents walking through. As he looks over the edge to the entrance to the lab, his eyes widen in terror as Bill Cipher floats into the room with the director. Bill. He's actually back. Agents come from the other side of the room and are bringing in something on a cart. Under all the dirt, weeds, moss, and weathering decay, we see a stone statue of Bill Cipher. "It's here. It's all mine." Dipper looks to the statue, then back at Bill, and then the statue. In an instant, millions of possibilities begin to rush through his head. What should he do? What can he do? It's too much. It's all too much. Suddenly, his mind goes still. He can't wait around any longer. All he can do is what he thinks is right. Bill catches the beam in mid-air. It's a struggle for him, but the laser beam hovers in mid-air. Dipper is shocked as he realizes he can't move. Bill, even though it's draining his power, is turning the beam to aim directly at Dipper.
You! Oh, kid, how I couldn't wait to get my hands on you. It's a shame your death has to be so quick, but luckily, the fear you feel in this moment will be comforting compared to the infinite darkness that awaits you.
The beam is almost lined up perfectly. Dipper closes his eyes and accepts his fate. Bill lets out a glitchy scream of agony as he lets go of Dipper, and the beam he held zooms past him, blasting the wall. The statue is destroyed. Dipper looks in awe. What? He looks across the balcony as the group from the Theraprism stand there. Ford is at the front, holding a blaster.
Get them!
Agents begin blasting away as the group and Dipper make a run for it. The director and others escort Bill away. As they run, Dipper notices Smith. Smith? What's he doing here? No time to explain, but long story short, he's on our side now. What? Just run! The group makes its way outside as they see the town has successfully taken captive most of the agents and others flee. McGucket and Wendy's family are also rescued. Even Nathaniel Northwest, despite his smugness, is grateful for the town's bravery in helping him. As Mabel runs up to embrace Candy and Grinda, she hears a familiar sound. Waddles comes running up as Mabel swoops him up and hugs him. Yeah, the little guy was there the whole time, being taken care of by Candy and Grinda. This is in no way an active retcon because I completely forgot about the character and just now am making up for it. That'd be crazy. The group can't celebrate, however. They head back to the Mystery Shack as Ford explains to Dipper where they were and Bill's end goals besides Weird Mageddon. Once they're at the shack, Ford begins to draw out the Zodiac. As the group waits for him, everyone reunites with each other. And all the joys of reuniting Dipper and Mabel lock eyes. As Dipper stands there, Mabel begins to tear up. Dipper, maybe it's not the time or place, but I'm so sorry for everything. I've been so selfish for so long without realizing. I had no clue it was affecting you and everyone else around me. I understand if you don't. I'm sorry too. When they separate, the whole group goes in for a massive hug. As the group breaks up, Mabel begins to show Smith around the shack and all the things Stan and Ford have made. We get to see some of the old inventions of Ford, as well as some of the new. Smith notices a soft-looking carpet and goes to feel it. Don't touch that. It could cause you to swap bodies. What? Why would you leave it lying around? Grunkle Ford is a genius. Never said he was organized or careful. Noted. Smith looks around at the group. Even though none are related and are from all walks of life, there's a camaraderie amongst them he's never experienced. Mabel notices how sad he is. Are you okay? This group, it's something special. You're really lucky to have people like this. I am. And I can't wait for the day you do too. Suddenly, Ford comes in. Everyone, it's time. We cut back to the manor in the laboratory. Bill is spazzing out in the corner as he tries to keep it together. The director, meanwhile, with a couple agents, is panicking. He's frantically trying to come up with ideas of how they come back from this, all while Bill floats in the corner. It can't end like this. Suddenly, the agents in the room go flying as they hit the wall and pass out. The director stands horrified. You will suffice. We cut back to the shack. On the ground, Ford has spray painted the Zodiac and everyone's symbol. Everyone joins hands as they walk in unison to their places. A light begins to emit from the center of the group. They look in awe of the sight as a portal begins to open up in the ground. Smith can't believe this sight until he notices something. We cut back to the day in the Theraprism. The Oracle is with Mabel and Smith. Hey, are you good? They notice she's not looking at them, but looking past them. She's in some kind of trance. They go to shake her out of it when suddenly a flash of white comes over them. Smith and Mabel are in separate planes. Mabel looks to see the Oracle standing before her. Smith, in the separate plane, sees the same. Welcome to the Mindscape. Why am I here? What am I doing here? The Oracle reminds them that not only does she have the ability to see into the future, she can also see potential futures. Though she doesn't know the end result because she doesn't have access to those abilities in the Theraprism, she tells them she knows they are both essential for not only being able to escape this place, but stopping Bill. She says there will be 2 moments where they both need to make a decision. They may not understand it at the moment, but they'll know it when the time comes. The two, of course, are confused as to what that entails, but considering they're dealing with a future-seeing entity, they cautiously accept what they've been told. She also tells them one more thing. You cannot tell anyone this. If you say what you saw here, it could potentially break our chance of defeating Bill. They understand. They come back to the Theraprism as the 3 come out of it. They share nervous glances to each other as they walk away. Everyone falls to the ground, and as the dust settles, they look out to the horizon in horror. Where McGucket Manor was, stands a monstrous entity. 1 part Bill, 1 part director. A skyscraping hybrid of flesh and stone. I'll admit, I went back and forth on this a couple times. This is pretty gnarly for a kid's show, but considering the sequel would overall be carrying a darker tone, I feel like it's a natural progression of like the horrific things we saw from the original series. However, if it ends up being too much, I mean, luckily this is just a pitch and not actual canon, so I think we're good. Bill, what have you done?
Since you destroyed my original body, I had to make some last-minute arrangements. I don't care anymore.
If it means that I get to kill you, then so be it. Luckily, it seems like I got one already.
The group looks over to see Mabel lying on the ground. No! Dipper sprints over to his sister. Mabel, can you hear me? She lies still. Mabel has passed. Dipper sobs as he holds her. As he takes a moment, he gazes back in anger towards Bill.
Oh boy! Looky there! I got twerp number 2! It looks like you're next.
I know about your parents! Bill stops and stares him down. What did you say? I know about your parents. I know what you did to them. And I know it still haunts you to this day. You'll never be supreme being of reality because if you go through with this, there won't be one. You can't control or change what happened. You have to accept the mistakes you've made and learn to live with them. But only if you decide to, right here and now. Bill looks with a wide-eyed expression until he bursts out in hysterical laughter.
Oh, you really almost had me there for a second, kid. Not gonna lie. Listen, just because you don't have the power to change anything doesn't mean I can't. Once I merge our dimensions, everything will be made right. And all I need in order to do that is to kill you.
He goes to shoot another beam from the tip of his finger, but it's static.
This stupid body work!
As the group watches in horror, Smith runs up. Everyone back on the Zodiac can hold hands. We're not done yet. It's over. We needed. I said do it now. Everyone gets together and goes back to their spots. As Dipper looks over, he sees Agent Smith walk onto Mabel's spot. The ground begins to open, a blue portal as the group begins to float upwards. How is this possible? Mabel? It's just the group and a normal-looking Bill. What's happening? Dipper looks to where Smith stood and he sees none other than Mabel. But how? There's no time to explain. We need to stop Bill. Ford looks around. While it looks like space, he sees the rift in the sky and the portal on the ground. A mindscape. Everyone, this portal is giving us access to some kind of mindscape. I believe it's locking us in here until there's a victor. If we close the rift, we can stop Bill in the real world. How is this even possible? As Dipper says this, he looks back to the portal and sees in the distance an axolotl. Wendy, Robbie, McGucket, and Pacifica are confused. What can we even do in here? The rest of the group, considering that they've already interacted with the mindscape, crack a smile. This is a mindscape. We can use anything in here to defeat Bill. The only limit is your imagination. So I could have chainsaws for hands? Oh, heck yeah. One by one, the group creates an ability to fight Bill. Stanley looks at the group. Me and Ford will focus on the rift. Everyone else, give it everything you got in stopping Bill. The group takes off as they use their abilities to fight him. I'm not sure exactly how it goes down, but like the Heister at the battle from earlier, it would be a cool moment to showcase these characters' creative abilities. It culminates in a moment where Stan and Ford are using giant wrenches to close the gate, but Bill smashes his way through the group in order to get to them. They're all down for the count. And the last moment, Bill reaches his hand out as he begins to use his powers to strangle them both. The portal begins to open back up. They can't stop it. They look at Bill, whose hands and feet are surrounded in ice. Stan and Ford look to see Dipper and Mabel reaching out together to stop Bill. They glare at him, this being of everything they once were. Selfish, controlling, regretful, and angry. They strike at him harder, knocking him down, giving Ford and Stanley one more chance. Ford glances one last time at Bill, remembering the words he once said upon reaching New York City. I'm going to make this right. They give it everything as they finally close the rift. The group in the mindscape begins to suddenly disappear, one by one, leaving Bill alone. He looks around in horror as he stands in this dark abyss alone. He looks over to where the blue portal was. Through the bright light, he sees none other than the axolotl, staring back at him, expressionless. In typical Bill fashion, he desperately begins to try and sweet-talk his way out of it, but it's too late. Bill begins to be sucked into the portal as he desperately tries to claw himself away. The group awakens in the real world. It's calm, peaceful. Everything is back to normal. Dipper looks around to see Mabel, kneeling down next to a lifeless Agent Smith.
Mabel? Yeah, it's me. You were dead. How are you? Mabel holds up a piece of the body-swapping carpet from the mystery shack. Before we left the Theraprism, the Oracle told me I would be faced with 2 moments where I needed to act on instinct. The first was in the Theraprism when she told me to go without her. The second was when I saw Bill's beam head for you, Dipper. I knew I had to protect you, but Smith knew I was important in stopping Bill. I think the Oracle spoke to both of us, and he knew what he had to do in the moment. Since we were both the ones in the Theraprism still trying to understand what we did wrong on Earth, I believe this was the test to see if we had learned from our mistakes. I guess we passed, but this isn't fair. Why is he gone and I'm not? As she breaks down, Stanley looks to the skies. I'm not sure why, kid. I doubt this will help, but something tells me Smith is all right. I can feel it. The group comes around and pays their respects. We cut to weeks later as the world is recovering from the events of Weirdmageddon. Volunteer rescue workers are going around the world to aid those most hurt and the cities most damaged. We see how Ford and associates go before the government about everything that happened, the entire story thus far. They ask about the monstrous statue in the middle of Gravity Falls, and he tells them how it's currently being deconstructed and destroyed using lava, leaving no trace on Earth of Bill. The government also shuts down facts as its practices are being looked into for corruption. One official isn't buying it. If you defeated Bill 4 years ago, how did he come back? You were sure then. How are you sure now? I can't make any promises. Since the barrier was destroyed, weirdness has begun spreading at higher rates all over the world. There may come a day when the evils beyond our understanding come into our world again. I don't know what the future holds, Senator, but whatever happens, we have to know we aren't alone in our fight. We cut to the Theraprism. The Oracle and allies stand wounded, but alive with the facility running as it's supposed to. The doors open for new arrivals. Welcome back. Let's get started. When we understand that, we'll be ready for whatever comes our way. We eventually cut back to Gravity Falls. The town at the end of the summer is hosting a giant celebration for their victory over Bill and the agents. It's a night filled with lights, dancing, music, food, games, and caring people. Everything that makes this small town great. Robbie and Tambry have stuck around and are supplying the music. We see in the vendor section Wendy has a tent set up as she sells her paintings. On the dance floor, we see Dipper nervously waiting with the rest of the group. Are you relaxed, dude? She should be here any minute now. I know, but this could potentially be our first uninterrupted, monster-free date, and it has to go perfectly. Dipper pines, have you learned nothing? You're right. I've done all I can. All I can do is hope for the best. As the group gets to talking, we see Mabel walk away by herself. Dipper notices and sneaks towards her as they make their way to the side of a hill, overlooking the forest and sunset. Hey, are you okay? Oh yeah, I'm just taking a moment to myself. The twins get to talking about their adventures they went on this summer, the friendships they've strengthened, and now the future. What's your plans once we get back home? Listen, maybe I should have told you earlier, but I'm not coming back. At least not for a while. Dipper is bracing for a response, but she looks at him calmly. He continues. Ever since the barrier was broken, strange phenomenons and creatures are now everywhere, and someone has to be documenting and researching this. Maybe making a TV show out of it? No, I'm actually going to be posting my videos online, thank you very much. Trust me, the internet and streaming is the future. Also, I was talking with Dipcifica, and since she's really good at social media and has no plans for school, she's agreed to join me. Oh wow, that's a big commitment. I know, but I think we'll be happy. Well, duh, I've known you two were perfect for each other for years now. Years, Dipper! It's just nice to know all my fanfiction finally paid off. So, what are you doing once we get home? I'll probably hold off on college. Really? What are you going to be doing with all that free time? I'm not sure, but I know I want to help people in some way. It's a perfect match. You're going to be great. Are you as scared as I am about the future? As much as you are? I'm way more scared. At least you have a plan. It's just,
This is going to be the first time I've never had you by my side. As a kid, I couldn't wait to be independent, but now it's just terrifying. That's true. But just because we'll be out on our own doesn't mean we're all alone. I'm sure we'll screw up, run into unknown danger, and just be overwhelmed with everything. But when it seems like we're at our lowest, just remember we'll always have this place, these people, and you'll always have your annoying twin sister. I guess you'll always have your twin brother who's always right about everything. They chuckle to themselves until their eyes begin to swell with tears. Hey, Dipper! Pacifica pops her head out through the bushes. Get over here and dance with me! Ugh, my pride and joy. He stands up as they take one last look at the horizon. Wanna head back out? Yeah. Hopefully Candy and Grinda showed up. It's past time me and the girls tore up the dance floor. Alright. Last one back has to eat Seuss's socks. Not if I can help it. I'm totally not gonna eat them. We're finally done. That's it. That's all I got. This is probably going to be the last time, maybe not the last time, but this is going to be it's something for a good long while where I probably won't be talking about Gravity Falls. I'm kind of out of it at the moment, but there's probably some future videos and stuff I might talk about this franchise again. And hopefully, you know, maybe we might get a reboot or a sequel or some kind of series about this franchise that I can cover potentially. Overall, I really hope you guys liked the pitch that I had. It took way longer than I thought it was. This was just a massive project that it turned out to be, but I had a blast doing it, and I'm glad you guys have encouraged it and have been enjoying it this whole time. That makes me so happy. Hopefully now I can be more consistent in getting out a video like every month. I've just been so bogged down with trying to like get this right on top of like my other job and other stuff happening outside of YouTube. So hopefully I can get a more consistent schedule and I can make more videos and stuff for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.